Hello, Rob.
Hello, Bouncy.
I'm wearing jogging bottoms.
You are, and slippers.
And a T-shirt with holes in it.
Yeah.
Because I'm unemployed soon.
Yeah.
Which means I'll be able to properly play games and stuff,
Oh.
like other unemployed people.
It's quite useful on a gaming podcast.
Yeah. But I will also be looking for new work. So if you're listening and you need somebody who's really good at selling things and putting things into words that sound really good and stuff, I'm your man.
Yeah.
Email us at wearetheholocaust@gmail.com and offer me a job. And if you're good enough for me, then I'll be good enough for you. And that's what it wants to be. And it's good enough for two.
It's something like that. It's quite a long time since I've heard that song. All right.
Anyway, shall we do a show?
If you're dodgy singing.
We are the Holocaust. Welcome to We Are the Holocaust.
Yeah, alright. Episode 18.
Yes.
Oh, 18 episodes.
I know.
That is more episodes than
Fawlty Towers.
anything that is more episodes than Fawlty Towers. And it's more episodes than Bottom. Well, same episodes as Bottom, I think, actually. I think that was 3 series of 6, wasn't it?
They had the live shows as well, though.
They don't count, probably.
We've got Marvel specials, so we're on their tail.
Yeah, we're 19. We've beaten them. But this week, we will be looking at stuff we've been playing, digital playing cards and things, some stuff that happened on Twitter, which was quite exciting, some newsy rubbish that everybody seems to really love. Then I'm looking at my paper thing. You're going to be talking a bit about DC Universe and maybe a bit about S.H.I.E.L.D. because you've cut and pasted a load of stuff onto here that I haven't read yet. And then we're going to be talking about the general election because obviously that's this week.
It is.
And we do sometimes talk politics. It seemed remiss not to have it on the running order.
It's probably just you ranting about local councillors.
Well, no, do you know what? Well, the reason it's on there is I saw that George Osborne had been to Elstree Studios to announce that the next Star Wars film was being filmed in the UK, which we already knew.
Yep.
But he announced it officially. And then he filmed some mocap for a video game. But they wouldn't tell you what the video game was. So I assume it must have been for George Osborne raping the poor. The video game. So, so that made it onto the thing. I'm going to be talking about App Store ratings because something made me very angry this week, Rob.
Yes.
And so that's it. We're also going to... well, actually, I'll do it now. I won't leave it till later.
Okay. You do it now.
If you haven't listened to our Marvel episode, isn't you, Rob? I know you have because you were there when we recorded
Yes.
it. But if you listening now haven't listened to our Marvel special, you might have thought, I'm not really into Marvel. I don't really want to listen. Well, shame on you for not widening your horizons.
Sure.
Paul Whittip, the guy who won the ice hockey game from us, he actually emailed back saying that he wasn't really into Marvel and had not really got into it, and now he's quite interested. So that show made him want to get into Marvel. And we gave him a load of advice, like pocketbooks, get Marvel Unlimited, what events you need to be looking at, because we're a service. That's not even a podcast. We could have recorded a podcast. We could have just sent it to him, like, hello, Paul. Then we could have done that, but instead we just sent an email because, like we say, at the end when we mention our email address and say get in touch with us, we do respond to each and every email we get, unless it's a competition entry, and then we only respond if you won. Yes. So if you've entered, and a lot of people have entered, they've gone through.
Apparently a lot of people like the idea of you dying.
Yeah. What competition, you may be asking? Well, in that Marvel episode, I tell a little story about I once drank some fizzy liquid that nearly killed me.
You did.
If you can email us at wearetheholocaust@gmail.com what brand of fizzy liquid that was, hint, it's not Shandy Bass.
It's not.
It's not. You can win a code to choose your own Qwertee T-shirt of your design choice in your size choice.
Yeah.
Which is quite a good thing, really, because they have a huge range of stuff that people would want. But also, it means you get to play what I like to call the Qwertee roulette, where each month I buy one Qwertee shirt.
Right.
So if I buy a Qwertee shirt, I can't then order another one for the rest of the month.
Okay.
So there might be something come on, and I'll be like this week I ordered one based on Five Nights at Freddy's, the horror game.
Okay,
that we talked about, which is I Survived Freddy's Fear, which is based on the third game, and all I got was his lousy T-shirt.
Right.
It's a nice 80s retro T-shirt.
And you get the lousy T-shirt joke in there.
So I ordered that. 2 days later, they did a Haynes Manual Hulkbuster suit.
I saw that
design,
yes.
and I couldn't order it because I'd already ordered my shirt this month.
I was very tempted by that shirt, I must admit.
And, so if you want to play that game as well, and basically kick yourself multiple times because you ordered an awesome shirt, but there was a then slightly more awesome shirt on the horizon, then enter our competition because we'll be drawing it on the show next week.
We are the Holocaust. Be with us or be branded a Holocaust denier.
Right.
Yes.
What have you been up to this week, Robert?
I've tried a couple of new games on my mobile phone.
Mobile phone?
My mobile phone.
A mobile phone?
Yes, my iPhone.
Oh, you yuppie.
Yeah.
Oh, see, as unemployed people, we can't have... Actually, unemployed people have better mobile phones than employed people, I've noticed.
So you've got time to go and browse in Carphone Warehouse.
Yeah, and I can just use all that lovely benefit money to pay my contract.
Stop buying phones with my money.
I'm not on benefits.
Yeah.
I quit my job, I'm not entitled to anything.
We'll see. I'm keeping an eye on you. But yes, I've been playing a couple of new games on my iPhone. One of which you are familiar with. Mm-hmm. The other of which you got familiar with. So we both played the same game on an episode of the podcast. The first time perhaps ever. Yeah. Episode 18 it took us to get to this point. But I'll start with Marvel Contest of Champions. Because you enthused about this on previous episodes.
I did.
And it kind of twisted my arm to give it a go.
Right, and? I'm
quite enjoying it. I'm up to level 5.
Okay.
I've unlocked... I think I've got 6 or 7 characters now.
Awesome.
Including Hulk and Black Bolt from the Inhumans.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, so far so good. Watching you play it probably doesn't do it justice, because watching somebody else play a beat-em-up never does.
No,
and it's basically a mobile beat-em-up.
And it's a really good, solid beat-em-up as well.
It's very simple controls, but very enjoyable. And as you mentioned before, you get a crystal each day, so you get little power-ups.
Yeah.
So you get the power crystals every 4 hours. You get a crystal each day, which could help you unlock another character.
Yeah.
Which I did yesterday.
Have you had a duplicate character yet?
I haven't had a duplicate character.
If you get a duplicate character, what it does is it breaks that character up into upgrade materials that will help.
Right.
Plus, it gives you an enhanced ability. So, say you've got Wolverine, you might have regeneration.
Yep.
Well, it'll then make regeneration level 2, so it might last an extra half a second or so. So you don't waste it if you get double character, which I thought was quite good.
That is a very good idea. But yeah, so far so good. I'm really enjoying it. As I said, level 5. I'm just about finished. They call it acts or chapters. Just about finished the first.
I think there's stories, and then in the stories there's acts.
Yeah.
And in the acts there's chapters.
So I'm just about to finish the first act. I've got 1 chapter to go.
Yeah.
So not massively far in, but I am enjoying it so far.
And a good storyline for what is a tiny little mobile game. I mean, not necessarily a tiny little mobile game.
It strings it all together in a coherent manner for a beat 'em up.
When I was when I was collecting some ideas for Whittit to look at, I actually remembered, by seeing the thing, that Contest Champions was actually a Marvel storyline. Way back, I think in the very early 80s. And it had the Collector, and it was all there, and it was in the Battle Realm thing and stuff. So I like the fact that this isn't just plucked out of the air.
No.
This is some obscure little bit. And of course now they've got the Ultron stuff in there as well, which is now a second sort of story mode that's unlocking as it goes on. And again, just really, really enjoyed it. I've been playing it on and off all this week. Didn't have my mobile phone over the weekend. I had a bit of a crisis with that. So as soon as I got my phone back on Monday evening, put it on charge, had notifications from every game on my phone going, where the bloody hell have you been? Like, while you were away, this happened, and your Uncle John died. And,
wow, they're really stepping these mobile games up.
I know.
They will kill your family. Whoa.
Yeah, you have to push a button every 4 hours, otherwise they remove like a life support plug. But the first one I loaded up was Contest Champions, just to get my character for the day, because of course it resets every 24 hours, so the quicker I get on it. And what I've got now is mine is I've got one from every type.
Right.
So I think there's 6 different types of hero. And now if I get a duplicate, unless it's one that's a higher star rating, I immediately break it down and use the parts to upgrade. I've got a couple now where I need the kind of the triangular upgrade materials.
Yep.
The ISO kind of bonding things to be able to upgrade them to a new rank.
Right.
So you can basically go from a 1-star to a 2-star, 2-star, 3-star, etc. So I've got Captain Marvel, which is a 3-star to start with, and I'm a max on that, so I can then go beyond
to level
max
4.
level. So yeah, it's got a lot of depth to it, and I really liked the amount. Well, actually, the potential long term. Because every time a Marvel film or TV series comes out, Daredevil was reflected, Ultron's been reflected. They can just keep doing it, and they've got a huge, rich storyline to pull in as well.
Exactly.
Whenever they want,
they don't have to base it on the films. They can pull in other storylines.
Yeah, I mean, like we said with the Black Bolt, for most people, that'll be the first time they ever know of the Black Bolt.
Yeah.
So it's a really cool way as well of just going, well, here's a character. And then when the film starts to come through, they'll be like, oh, that character you've seen once. He's been in Hulk Agents of Smash. I saw him on there.
He's been in a few of the cartoons.
Yeah, he had the whole of the Inhumans on there the other day. We watched it and I was like, oh, I see what they're doing. Okay, laying the foundations already. But that is what Marvel do well. And like that game, everyone should have. I'm in the process of saving up alliance chips so I can build my own alliance. But left the alliance I was in to build my own alliance and then realised I couldn't earn alliance chips anymore. So I've got to get battle chips instead.
Right.
And I duelled you the other day.
Did you?
I went in and it was a bit unfair because I had my big, massive Captain Marvel.
Right.
I went in, it was just like 5 hits and you were down on the floor. And I just thought, it'd be better fight if it kind of levelled the field, like limited my hero to one that was your
So
hero.
I think my highest at the moment is Black Widow. I think her, I suppose, attack points are 132-ish.
Mine's like 390 or something like that. So it wasn't a fair fight. So I guess when you've got a good squad together, it might balance out better. But obviously, if you're listening and you want to get in on this, you can add us on there. I'm Bounceable and you're Duff 35 on there.
Warbird Duff, I think.
Warbird
Duff. Gosling's the champion.
Okay. Duff 35 on Star Wars.
Yes.
Right, yeah.
Which is a nice segue into the Star Wars.
It is, because obviously it's been Star Wars Day.
Yes.
Which everybody enjoys because it's
Star
Star
Wars. People who
Wars.
don't like Star Wars.
Well, do you know what? The Holocaust put out a tweet to basically make it open to everyone. So it was Happy Star Wars Day with a picture from Disney's The Black Hole and hashtag Star Trek.
Yep.
It was. You don't have to be a massive Star Wars nerd to also enjoy Star Wars Day. It's about enjoying something as a community. Loads of people were slagging it off and saying, "Oh God, this is terrible." People just pretending like Star Wars. You know what? A lot of people like Star Wars.
They do.
There's nothing wrong with that, and there are worse things. The only thing I didn't like about it was the amount of emails I got from companies who went, "It's Star Wars Day, buy some butter." And it's like, what? Doesn't make any sense. Like, a shop I buy books from did "It's Star Wars Day, here's a promotion," and then didn't include any Star Wars books in that promotion. Kind of a missed
That doesn't make sense. Yeah.
It was books by Katie Fearday or something. And it was like romantic dramas for ladies. Like, you really pitch this at the wrong people.
Yeah. You haven't thought about this mail shop.
No. But as a result of it, that was like when I got my phone back. I was very excited, and I was at my. I basically recovered my Star Wars account onto my iPad, and was sat at my girlfriend's house. And the people who run it, which is Tops, who are the like legends of trading cards,
certainly are,
have basically set this out, which we talked about on last week's show, where you can swap cards and collect cards and go through it. And I moaned that it was a bit unfair, and Post McGav immediately went on there to help me out and became a bit of a baron, where he did a trade with me that was massively beneficial for him, not very beneficial for me. So I added a couple of extras. I was like, watch it, you.
So that's where I've signed up for it as well now.
Yeah.
I wasn't initially that interested, but I thought, you know what? It's free.
Yeah.
I like Star Wars. I know people are on there, yourself, Gav, Dr. Hamhock's on there. So it's not like I'm going in completely blind.
No.
So I gave it a go. I've been on there for, about 36 hours now.
Yeah.
And the trading bit is going to take a little bit of getting my head around. You said this in the last episode.
It's
because
so complicated.
It's not just that.
Aggressive.
It's the strange aggression, because what's worth what to what people? Because, if you offer 3 whites for a blue, that doesn't seem wildly off base to me.
But some people think that's an insult, and that's why
Exactly.
I 1 star.
Yeah.
I offered 5 for 1 blue, and I was given a 1-star rating.
This is what I mean. I mean, some people's idea of what a fair trade is seems to be way off base. And I can understand with some of them. I think maybe the first trade I offered, because it's one of the inserts, maybe, fine, I'll accept in my ignorance. Maybe I undersold or undervalued or under-offered. But it's just like, well, how many cards am I going to have to give up to go 1 notch higher?
Well, this is where...
This isn't like going, I've got 2 Andy Coles.
Yeah.
You need 1, so I'll give you my 2 Andy Coles for your Mark Hottiger.
Well,
and you can get rid of 1 Andy Cole and another trade with another kid in that side of the playground.
This is the thing. When we used to trade stickers and trading cards, we didn't know how rare they were.
And it was
this
face to
game
face.
tells you how many there are, but also it will tell you if they've sold out. If there's never going to be handed out again. Now, once a card gets to that point, the value rockets.
Yeah.
Now, I saw this weekend they did like these mint pressings.
I was going to talk about this.
Coins. Somebody had one, and basically in the chat said, if you want it, PayPal $100. And it went immediately.
It's crazy.
And I just thought, I can see why, because people want that collection. It is... These,
Well, do you know what
these are
got me?
Star Wars nerds. Like, these are the people who will pay $100 for a figure in black blister packaging.
Yeah.
When it's getting to the point where they're like, well, if you want that card, PayPal me the money, and then they're doing it. I mean, why not? There are plenty of other games where people sell digital items, like Team Fortress is encouraged through Steam to sell your items. This is what it's allowing.
Those mint coins went so quickly.
Yeah.
I parked earlier on because I had to nip to the chemist because Annabelle's not very well. So I parked. I just popped my phone out, see if Emma would text me, say, get this or get that.
Yeah.
And there was a notification. Mint packs, time, 5 minutes ago. So I'm like, okay. As I'm walking along, got the 3G, open it up, all sold out already.
Yeah.
I'm like, freaking
Gav was waiting. Because on Star Wars Day they had loads on half price.
Yeah.
And he refused to buy anything.
Several are 50% off still.
Yeah.
I bought a couple earlier.
Which is really good if you want to get into it, if they're still on there. I think they're on all week.
Yep.
But yeah, he was waiting for these mint ones. He was waiting for the inserts. Because that's what the real proper collectors now do. Because the app's very good. It will send you these on news saying today at such and such a time, and you've got to be there at that minute if you want it.
Yeah.
And like weirdly today, I got 2 of the very rare inserts. It's like a 1,300 made, and I got 2 in 1 pack. And I just thought, oh.
So you got those 2 in 1 pack. 1 pack I bought, I got 3 of the same white card.
I've had that as well.
Yeah. So I can see.
But
I'm concerned I'm going to hit a point that might start to annoy me.
Yeah.
Because of the way I can't just sit there waiting for 7 PM to roll around and just go tap 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 tap. Because life isn't like that.
No.
But I can see that might start to get a little bit annoying at some point, because you can only go so far collecting the widely available ones.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, these rare ones are like you have to be ready at 7 PM or 6 PM. GMT, because it's Eastern times, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I've spoken to a couple of people online about it, and I've just sort of found their names. Because the Twitter, they basically did a competition on Star Wars Day. If you took a picture of yourself with the app and something Star Wars related, you got a free Palpatine pack. So I was like taking part, but I was like looking at the other users who were sharing their names on there. So I was like looking at their profiles. So I messaged a couple just to go through. And what a lot of them tend to do is you'll get people who only collect blues. Like that's their aim. They're not trying to collect everything because they realise that you can't. Like while you're trying to collect that, there's another thing, or they've just done a rare one, or there's a marathon set, or whatever. I mean, the depth of it is incredible. The app doesn't give away anything. I mean, you look at your like profile screen now. It's as basic as it can get.
Pretty much, yeah.
And yet it gives you all these stats, like you are 27% or 52% of the cards have been collected, and you're like, oh yeah, I can actually achieve 100%. You're not going to achieve 100%.
So I'm 9.83 in about a day and a half.
Yeah.
Which seems good in a day and a half.
Yeah.
Because of the amount of characters.
Well, this is it.
And you've got white, blue, red, yellow. I've got several different Wedge Antilles cards. And you think, oh, well, I've got those in that space of time. But as you said, with the specials,
Yeah.
these special editions alone mean, you're never going to get to 100%.
No.
Never.
I mean, I know some of them don't count towards the actual percentage. So, like, the chase stuff and the marathon stuff doesn't... I'd say, I've got two trades to go. I've got 31% now with a full score of 61.25. But, again, I mean, it's like, oh, Christ almighty, Postman Gav. Look at that for a trade.
Oh, yeah.
I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 red cards that I need. And he wants 7 red cards that I've got. I will accept that one then, Postman Gav, live on the show.
Oh.
Rate him 1 star. No, I'm giving him 5. That was a good one. And, see, sometimes I look at that and I keep thinking, am I giving away 2, or is that just telling me how many I've got?
I haven't
Let me have a look, counter that.
figured it all out yet.
Let's just see.
That kind of, I find a little bit
that's
tedious
fine.
when offering trades. It'd be nice to have a trading pile.
It basically just tells you how many you've got.
Yeah.
So you're not...
Okay, so it is like that.
So that's quite handy.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have because this is one of the things you had on the EA Sports with FIFA and NHL. And I played the NHL one. You could put cards you didn't want into like a trading pile. That would be really useful on here because at least you can quickly sort them.
Of filtering.
What you've got doubles of.
Yeah, so you've got
duplicates.
Like duplicates, and then that helps a little bit. But again, like I said, the app doesn't really help you in any way.
No,
You've got to figure it out.
I wouldn't have known that had you not just told me. And I probably would have figured it out eventually.
And the community is not friendly enough to kind of just reach out and go, "Hi, I'm new to this, but can only be given some advice on the best way to find this or best way to find that." I kind of hope somewhere there's a really good forum message board where you can go in and not get torn to pieces. But as it is, we've now building up quite a nice little trading community. Yeah. So it could be that between us, we could keep passing the cards around to make these sets. So there's no reason why all of us couldn't have the base sets reasonably quickly. Yeah. Which would be nice. And that's why I mentioned it on the show. But like I said, again, another quite well put together app that is certainly going to be very profitable for Tops.
I think so, because people will start buying credits.
People really are. I nearly signed up for a Now TV membership just to get a load of free credits.
I must admit, I did linger over some of the bits yesterday. I thought, no, I'll wait to see what happens tomorrow and how many credits I get for a new day. And then I got like 40,000 today. And I'm like, well, that's actually quite a lot. Yeah. I don't feel the need to sign up to any of this stuff now, because I'll just flick in and out.
It does give you a lot. The problem is when you get to the point where you've got most of the whites,
then
you're buying packs of cards for 20,000, which only give you 3 new cards, and 2 of those might be duplicates. And then it starts to get at you. I know Person Gav has already spent a little bit of money on it. And like I said, people are willing to pay real money for a rare card. So, I mean, from my point of view, when I got those 2 inserts, I thought, I might just see what the economy's like.
So I wonder as well with things like this, obviously you mentioned Tops, probably the most well-known in this country. But then you look over to North America where Upper Deck do a lot of sports trading cards. And you start to wonder how much Tops and Upper Deck are always the 2 I've known. Basically through, Panini as well, Panini stickers. Yeah. Whether these companies start to look at this and think, okay, Star Wars is a big IP. So but what about this one or that one? And you start to look at do we do the big sports leagues? Yeah. Especially like Upper Deck, as I said, who've got these sort of rights. Do we start to do a sports one? Yeah. Because a lot of those sports have got brand recognition around the world. Maybe not as universal as Star Wars in a global sense, but still. And the Premier League. I mean, the Panini football stickers were huge.
I tried to get you into, and unfortunately the invite never went because it seems to be a bit broken. And it's still Tops, but it's the Marvel Hero Attacks. And with that, when you buy a pack of physical cards, you get a code inside the packaging that allows you to get a pack of digital cards to collect a limited amount of an album, which is really good. And before I played this app, I thought, well, this is the future. Now I play this, and I'm like, well, that's the future.
Did I miss something on this? Well, yesterday, it was yesterday, obviously, I started. Yep. And I saw something on Twitter, 25 free packs. Right. But I cannot see for the life of me where this 25 free packs exists.
I've not seen it.
And so I didn't know if this was something I'd missed because I signed up and then I saw the Twitter advert. And it should have been one of those ones where you go, oh, click, congratulations, sign-up bonus. Or I don't know.
No, I mean, I signed up when the Force Awakens retro cards were put in for the first time. That was what pushed me in because I quite liked the fact I had some of those older cards. Yeah. And I wanted them. But as it kind of goes through, I guess I've got free packs over time, so maybe it's 25 you get over time, or enough credits to buy 25 or whatever. Because you could easily buy 25 1,000 credit packs. So I don't know, but yeah, it's still something I recommend to people, but not if you have no self-control. If you're that sort of person, stay away.
Yeah. So this, I like just while we're talking about, I've got the app open while I'm flicking about, and they've just added another bit: free credits review challenge. Basically, review the app by Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern, which is 5 hours behind us. And 10 random people win 75,000 coins.
It's quite a good.
Yeah, that's one way to get reviews.
Although I think Apple's terms and conditions mean you can't offer a prize in exchange for reviews. You want to be careful.
Can you imagine that? Apple versus Disney.
Tim Cook knocking on Skywalker Ranch going, listen, I know you've sold the rights, but come on, man. Because they're quite close to each other, aren't they? So, yeah. But that's, again, if you're on there, you can find me at Bounceable and your Duff 35. So, yeah, look for us on there. I, this week, have been trying out something with Sniper Elite 3.
Yep.
Which I've had for a while. I really like Sniper Elite games.
I enjoyed the first one, but I haven't played any of the subsequent ones.
Yeah. The new one's lovely. It's set in Africa. It's lovely. You can shoot Charlie Brooker while he's dressed as a Nazi.
Right.
That's as good as it gets, frankly. Wow. You can kill Hitler and you can save Churchill.
Okay.
Which, again, is also really kind of desirable. But they did, a lot of the DLC came out post-release. Now, I pre-ordered it and got Hunt the Grey Wolf, which is Kill Hitler.
Yep.
But after that, I didn't get the season pass, which was all the Save Churchill and extra weapons and things like that. And then they did an Ultimate Edition that had all this content on the disc. So what I am doing right now, upstairs, it is installing the Ultimate Edition to my console.
So in about 6 days' time?
No, it'll be done. It read this first time today.
Bloody hell.
It really is behaving nicely. What I'm going to do then, could well be, take the disc out, put my regular Sniper Elite disc in, and see what of the installed content still loads or doesn't load. Whether it'll go, you haven't got the right disc in, or whether it'll just go, yeah, that's Sniper Elite 3, that's fine. Because if it's installed, it should be fine. Now, the install picture is just Sniper Elite 3, so it shouldn't make a difference. And if it's installing the full game in, it's only going to really check to make sure the source is there.
Yeah.
So I will report back next week as to what it is. Because if that's true, and you own Sniper Elite 3, it could be a way of just borrowing the game off someone and getting all the extra DLC for free. Which is always good. Destiny. What have you been doing on Destiny?
Same thing I do every week.
Did you look at the Trials of Osiris stuff that was shown by Bungie?
Yes, I've looked at some of it. It's certainly interesting to see how it works out with the 3-on-3.
It looks pretty intense. I watched the Twitch stream of it because although I'm not massively into it, I know you are. And I think the Flares have got it ready and we're watching on their big TV.
They did, yep. They watched it live.
I was at work, I think. I was either at work or upstairs doing work, one of the two. And so I had it on my phone next to my laptop screen. And I watched it and I just thought, there is no way I'm ever going to be that good.
That's where it's going to be interesting because, as everybody knows, I play with Synaptic Flare and his Worth Digital Flare. Weekly, basically. Yeah. We have at least one night a week, if not more. And then we had a fourth member of the team over the weekend, and we did some Iron Banner.
Right.
Which I've done before on my own. Yeah, I did okay. I wasn't great, wasn't terrible. And, we had mixed success. A couple of games we won easily, a couple of games we lost convincingly, and there was a sort of few darted around the line. Yeah. And it's one of the two of the ones where you lose heavily. You end up in that situation in Trials of Osiris, and it's you wince at what could become. But it's an interesting concept.
Yeah,
it's 3-on-3. I mean, I've played a few of the other modes. I've mostly played Control.
Right,
it's my preferred mode on the Destiny PvP. Not that I play a lot of it, but some of the others are such a massive clusterfuck at times. But I like the idea of Trials of Osiris because it is trying to be genuinely more team-based.
Yeah.
This is a genuine 3-on-3. This isn't just throwing two groups of three together.
No, and you have to be friends as well. You can't, there's no matchmaking.
There's no matchmaking. So they've
have to go
Bungie have really gone for it properly, which is very encouraging, actually.
Yeah, and it'd be interesting to see how the Pro Gamer Leagues respond as well, because this will basically say, look, you put together a team of three, and this will allow. And they are putting up some good stakes for winning as well. they go through saying about each consecutive win gives you a slightly better reward.
Yeah.
Which then means that everyone doesn't want to lose that counter, so everyone's playing as hard as they can get. I mean, rounds were quick as well.
Yeah.
Some of them weren't lasting more than 5 minutes, which is both good and bad, because, as you were saying with the Qwertee raids, it takes so long.
It could do.
Whereas these, you can be done and go, and you're through.
So that's one of the things that I do kind of like about the PvP, is it's not ridiculously long.
Yeah.
Most games will be 10 minutes-ish, I think, in my experience. Some are a bit more, some are a bit less, depending on how good the team is. But that's not ridiculous. It doesn't feel like it's dragging on and on.
No.
And that's one of the risks, because that's one of the problems I had with, certainly, Qwertee's End on hard, or some of the Nightfalls. If you all die, you go back to orbit and have to start again.
Yeah.
And you learn your techniques, and you learn to work as a team, and fine, but it can get incredibly frustrating at the same time if you keep having to go over the same bits again.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm interested. I'm interested to see what Prison of Elders brings. As I said on previous episodes, initially I was very unsure on House of Wolves because there was no raid, and it was kind of, well, what are we getting for the money? But I'm more encouraged, having seen this and had a few details which we've discussed before about Prison of Elders with kind of the Horde mode style gameplay. So we'll see, but it's encouraging. It's raised my interest. I'll probably give it a go. I'll probably suck at it and then give up on it, but there we go.
That is what I like to hear.
Yeah.
That is the important thing.
But I've also been playing another Marvel iOS game.
Right.
Which is a new one
called
Future Fight. And I think my response is the same as yours just then.
Yeah.
It's 850 meg, which meant I had to delete some of my apps on my phone straight away.
Yeah, now you won't know what the temperature in Tokyo is.
So it's quite a big game, and to be honest, I wasn't enamoured with it.
No.
I gave it a bit of a play through. It didn't draw me back in the way Contest of Champions has, or other things like Tapped Out, or the Star Wars card collector we just spoke about, or even Angry Birds.
Yeah.
It just didn't hook me in. I don't know if it's because I was playing on mobile, and maybe it'd be better suited to a bigger surface like a tablet. But yeah, I just struggled with it. It's kind of what we describe as a top-down fighting game, almost.
I'd say so, yeah. I mean, it's kind of... I don't know, it's the kind of thing I think maybe the iPad it would be better on.
Yeah.
I also think maybe it'd be better on PC than mobile. It just... Because I also put it on my iPhone, and then, like I say, I thought about putting the iPad and thought, well, it's so big, and it also is going to be quite resource-heavy, and I don't know if it'll go and run, because the iPad 2 does struggle with some games. But what it didn't do, that Contest Champions did, was show a lot of potential immediately.
Yeah.
Like with that, you look at that, you think, well, whenever you go to unlock a character, you see all the other characters that have potential. You're meeting other characters, so you know you can get that one.
Yeah.
You can look at a line. I mean, there's all sorts that just hint at the size and scale. And I was disappointed. Very disappointed. But I don't know whether it was disappointment because I played better.
Yeah.
Recently, or whether it was just because it's not an amazingly designed game.
The difficulty is, it could be one of these, kind of like some of the console games, you need to give it an hour, and then it really kicks off. Dragon Age, a lot of people said, you need to give it an hour, and then it really takes off. But it's an iOS game. I shouldn't have to give it an hour to get hooked. And as you said, Contest of Champions kind of lays the table in front of you.
Yeah, if you don't like the fight mechanic, there's no game.
Yeah, exactly.
But make the fight mechanic so good... then the
it sets the stall out, and you can see everything else in front of you. Even though some bits, you can look at them and they'll say, your team really needs to be equivalent of level 300 combined to do this bit. So it's like, okay, I haven't got a team that can make up level 300 yet, but I know that's there. It's there. I can see that at the far end of the stall. But I didn't get that feeling with Future Fight. It almost felt like some old Japanese games reskinned with a Marvel, because it had that very odd speech dialogue sort of thing. That sort of, yay, that you used to get at the end of like Tekken or Virtua Cop when you complete the level, and it's just like that felt quite awkward.
And the idea of partnering up and creating these alliances and stuff, it's all on paper. It sounds brilliant, but it just doesn't work yet. I mean,
if that was an Xbox arcade game, where you had a bit more option with the controls.
Exactly. This is it. Yeah.
That would have, I think, it would have been a lot better.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's necessary. We both said the same thing. Maybe it's better on the iPad. We've got a bit more because it's a little bit too fiddly.
Yeah, and maybe, do you know what? A couple of updates later, it could be a lot more functional and it could be a lot better. But that's what I said. Sometimes an app lives or dies on its launch, and at the moment it's featured on the App Store, and it's just not that great. And in a crowded market of really good Marvel games, I mean, I was playing as well the Spider-Man Unlimited more of that this week, and it's just the more I'm going through, I'm getting better at it, and the challenge is exactly with me.
Yeah.
I never feel like it's easy.
The curve is there.
Yeah, it's spot on, and they've basically got this thing. So as you level up your characters, they have a multiplier, and so again, like Counter Champions, they'll say you need a team of this much. They'll say you need the multiplier of 17, or the rating of 17. So all of them have to add up to that amount, and so it kind of gauges the fact that okay, you're probably not a good enough player yet because you haven't leveled up these characters enough to be that number. So it always keeps you on that pitch, so it knows if you've played enough to that point, it can throw this at you, or it can throw that at you. And again, it's really good. But this Future Fight, unfortunately, at the moment, it's off my phone, and it'll remain off for a little while. But there you go. What can you do? These are the things. I played Castlestorm Definitive Edition on Xbox One. That's the free games of gold for Xbox One this month. Mafia 2's available on 360.
I saw that. I looked. I don't know if it's for me or not.
Do you know what? Mafia 2 is probably one of my favourite 360 games.
Okay.
I heartily recommend it to anyone
Maybe
who's
I
not
will
played it.
give it a look then. Because I've still got Assassin's Creed Black Flag, Plasmons, and Bioshock Infinite that I haven't started yet.
Yeah,
I download and Sleeping Dogs.
Sleeping Dogs, yeah.
So I've downloaded those. And
Mafia 2 does a lot with narrative. It's an open world game to a point, but it's an open world game with a time span.
Right.
So I think it covers 15 years. Okay. So you see the same city, but you'll see it in winter. You'll see it 10 years later, and everything's slightly different.
Okay.
You while you're driving the car, you have a thing where you can basically limit the speed to the legal amount, so that while you're driving around, you don't just get pulled over. Because of course, if you're a gangster, you don't want to just be randomly pulled over. And that's the most kind of
thoughtful.
Well, no, in Grand Theft Auto, the one thing that gets in the way of a storyline is you get spotted by a police car, there's a chase, you go off to try and get away, and then you're miles away from where you need to be. With this, you can literally go, right, hit that button, I'm at least not going to get done for that. Yeah. If you run a red light and they see you, they'll pull you over. You drive differently and it plays differently. And it's, well, I say a phenomenal game. When I played it, I finished it, went back through, played it immediately again. And then when they did a Classics edition, which had all the DLC on the disc, I bought that as well. It was, in my mind, the perfect way to do that kind of game. And so if you've got a 360, do get it, and that includes you. But Castlestorm Definitive, this is one of those kind of... I think Castlestorm originally was what many people cite as the inspiration for Angry Birds. Okay. It was, you had a catapult, and you sort of fired it at a building, and you tried to knock it down, and you hit these people. And so it's that, but polished up and made nice, and you've got a trebuchet, so you can fire at people who are running at you, so it's kind of tower defence from that point of view, but it's also tower offence, because you're trying to attack the castle on the other side. You can spawn a hero who runs around with a sword and bow and arrow. It's fine, it's very good, but it's very fiddly on a controller. It's the sort of thing that if it was on touch device or a mouse and keyboard, would have been a lot more intuitive. Because the problem is, it's like playing Angry Birds on a controller. Just doesn't quite work. You've got this arrow, it will show you the arc, but of course the fine tuning and stuff, it's not quite there. But for a free game, I'm not complaining. No. It's another one in my collection that I can go through, play along. It's funny enough. I'm enjoying it. It's one of those, much like Future Fight, where you just think that would have been better on this. Yeah. And of course, the original Castlestorm, like I say, as far as I remember, was a PC game. So it feels like one. And it did make me wish there was a mouse for the Xbox One. Because eventually there's going to be games like that, or let me use Smart Glass as a controller. Something like that, just to make it slightly better. But again, I'm not complaining. It's still a fine game. It just, there are these little niggles that you get, and that was the niggle on that one, unfortunately. Which brings us, at the end of this section, to Tapped Out, which has stepped up its game a little bit with the amount of stuff it's throwing at us. And I don't know if you've got to where I am, but I've got the chemical machine, so I can now get the gas and stuff. And I've just sent a load of people to riot in Krusty Burger or smash
just
a
got
Quickie Mart.
past that one.
Yeah. And it's just...
Excuse me. Sorry. Lingering death.
That's right.
Yeah.
And it's it's doing the story well, which is what we talked about before. It's not tied into any national holiday. It's just doing a Simpsons plotline. The way Simpsons plot. So lots of characters being drawn into it. You've got kind of the single women of Springfield rioting against the idea that these vegetable people should be got rid of. I mean, it's just mental, but I love it. Really, really liking it, and I can't wait for next week when the next chapter unfolds. Because normally by this point I'm a bit bored.
Yeah,
stories keep me going, and the Marvin Monroe stuff as well is making sure it doesn't get stale because I'm able to do that storyline as well. So lots of good stuff with that. Right, Twitter.
Yes,
I like Twitter. Do you like Twitter?
You know I do.
Back like Twitter. This week, Twitter went a bit weird because stuff started happening with Twitter stuff. Now, I showed you earlier Mountains of Mouthness.
Yes.
Which didn't load very well, unfortunately.
No.
You didn't see it at its best. Would you like to describe to the people at home what Mountains of Mouthness is?
It's two digitally created mountains with mouths and eyes, and they will say what you tweet at them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when it works, it's hilarious. And when it doesn't, it's like it was here, where I'm getting all enthusiastic about something that's basically just a mouth opening and closing and a tweet showing at the bottom and no sound. I saw one the other day which was something like, do you think all those people in those villages are annoyed and we keep talking? And I just thought, that is quite good. So witty people who are sending in good tweets. But obviously I think now it's getting a bit more exposure. The site's just taking too much of a hit and it's getting too much information coming in.
And the problem is it doesn't add up. You described there was actually you said you saw like a full blown conversation going on, whereas now there's so much coming in, everything's so broken. Yeah. So it'll go from something witty like that to something completely bland and shitty like, oh, wonder if it'll rain today. And it's just like, and the magic wears off a little bit.
Yeah.
And
I mean, for me, when I first watched it, I thought, God, imagine this as an advert. Like, you know when they have those adverts where you tweet something and it just appears?
Yeah.
And you were talking about that one where in ice hockey somebody tweeted something about somebody's wife. And it
that was the TSN, the trade deadline day live show on the scroller at the bottom.
Exactly. So stuff like that. I mean, that's what they see. I mean, you could have an animated character just pop up and go, I think that Katie Hopkins is a horrendous freak of nature and should be burned on a stake. Do you hear about that kid who asked Nick Clegg if he'd get Katie Hopkins killed?
No.
They were doing that, obviously, with everybody out. Nick Clegg was doing like a Q&A thing, and a 7-year-old kid basically went up to him and went, if you could, would you get Katie Hopkins arrested or killed? And Nick Clegg threw away the election by saying, I don't think that's a good idea. I think we should just ignore her. I was like, no, ignoring evil is what the Nazis did. Or Germans did, rather, not the Nazis. Nazis were the evil. But Nick Clegg basically there without a tie on saying, no, if you ignore Kate Hopkins, she'll go away. She won't. She'll just shout louder and louder. But I did like that a kid went up to a potential Prime Minister and went, I'd like this woman killed. Just let's all celebrate on how good... Everybody has a go at kids these days, but they clearly got their heads screwed on if they're thinking that let's just solve the problem of Kate Hopkins by having her killed by the Parliament. State murder is okay if it's like crowdfunded. That's obviously the case here. But yeah, the Mountains of Mouthness, when it calms down, is good. And like I say, if you had imagined a giant billboard in Piccadilly, and it'd just be a big animated mouth, like the walls in Nightmare.
Yep. Or the doors in Fable.
You can pass if you answer this thing. How do you get your hair so soft and bouncy? It's L'Oreal, of course. That's an advert there on behalf of Bouncy's L'Oreal.
Yeah.
But there's that on there. And then you could play DOS games in tweets as well this week.
Briefly.
Yeah, briefly, because it's against terms and conditions to be able to play a DOS game in a tweet. I think actually it's more against nature, because it's starting to get a bit mental when you can watch a film, you can listen to an album, and they can play a 1994 first-person shooter in a Twitter stream. But obviously it comes from the Internet Archive, where these games are all freely playable. Basically, the way the applet, or whatever it's called, works, it would work in the tweet. So that's been blocked. But you still play them on the Internet Archive.
Yeah.
There's loads of stuff on there.
There is.
Really, really good site. And what's the best thing about this has been is how many people are now aware that exists. And there's so much good stuff from the times when we were kids and teenagers, before the internet was a massive internet thing. It's just an archive now of things pre-internet. That's what it should be called, the pre-internet archive.
Printernet.
But that would, yeah. And it could just be an old Epson printer going, "You only bought me to get some new ink, and then threw me in the bin because it's cheaper to buy a whole new printer."
It is.
It used to be, not so bad now. Because there's
not a lot in it.
A lot of third-party ink
There is.
cartridges, not like they used to be, where it's like giant, great big things that lasted for 2 days because they were like, "Oh, you've used all that." Fuck off if I used all that cyan. I've never printed anything cyan. Why are you using cyan for? If I want something printed black, use the black. Don't use a combination of 3 colours to make black. You've got black. No, what? If you can't do grey from black, what's the point? Have a white ink cartridge in there as well. Make it grey. Stop. Oh,
Racist printers, you say?
Used to make me so cross. I used to have to set all my printers to black and white printing only, so it would stop using their colours, because all I ever wanted to do was replace the black cartridge. Then 2 of my ink cartridges just dried out and wouldn't work because they weren't used.
Yeah.
So, cautionary tale: if you've got a printer from 1999, don't do that.
Yeah.
Won't work.
Good advice.
Let's have a jingle. Jingle jingle, jingle jangle, jingle jingle jangle. That's off of Fallout.
Is it?
One of the songs.
Yeah. Vaguely.
Yeah.
We really need to sort out some jingles.
I have got jingles for this week.
Oh.
Do you know what? Sometimes I go to put the jingle in, and then we have a conversation about the jingles, or the fact that we didn't actually put a jingle in, and then that conversation is more interesting than the jingle would have been. So then we can't put a jingle in, otherwise we'd lose all this.
Yeah.
So now we've had to do that again. Should we have some news instead?
Okay.
In a journey of a lifetime, the trials of Sylar in the view from here in 30 minutes. But first, including the region's latest, today's main news.
Right, news.
Yeah.
didn't talk about the jingles that time.
Yeah.
So we don't need to worry about not putting a jingle in.
We just created a paradox by saying that.
We really have. Disney Infinity 3.0 is going to be Star Wars centric. Very excited about this until I saw the packaging.
Yes.
They've gone Star Wars: The Clone Wars as a starter pack.
Yeah, that surprised me a little bit.
I just thought, on the box you've got Leia on a Tauntaun. Brilliant. Why not have something from prequel series, new series, or classic
new series?
No, prequel series, classic series, and then animated series. Like, have something of all of those reflected. And instead they're just like, hey, you know that version of Anakin Skywalker no one cares about? Ka-chew! That's the one you get for free. By paying 40 quid for him.
It was an interesting choice of
Yeah.
lead packaging.
The only thing it made me wonder is, obviously, with it being aimed at kids, are there a generation of kids where their Star Wars is the animated series?
Possibly.
Because we grew up with the films.
Yep.
And then there was the Droids series and the Ewoks series.
Don't remember the droid series too well myself. I do vaguely remember the Ewoks one.
The
from when I was
Ewoks
a
one
kid.
had a theme tune, which was basically a long it's the Ewoks. Which, frankly, with all the technology and all the money Star Wars made, they could have hired someone better to write a theme tune.
John Bon Jovi. He did the Christmas album.
No. So, yeah, I do wonder whether that's where the thinking came from. Because the new Star Wars series, Rebels, is very, very good.
Yes.
So,
I
without...
like the Clone Wars in a lot of senses.
Yeah, well, if the Clone Wars hadn't existed, I've got the first 5 series on Blu-ray. Someone bought them into the shop and traded them in for £2 each. And I went, yeah, the shop will buy those now in my collection. And I watched all the way through them, and bringing Darth Maul back was a genius move and done really well.
Do you know what I wish they'd done more of, Clone Wars based? Was the ones by the guy who did Samurai Jack, whose name now escapes me.
Tarkovsky.
That's it. Because I loved those little shorts. I thought they were brilliant.
And the art style worked really well as well.
Yeah, that's a great. I love that art style. But yeah, they were great, and I am sad they did not do more. But I guess with the other computer animated Clone Wars, that
and also
marketplace
I think
was taken up.
Tarkovsky's stuff worked for us as appreciating it as a kind of animated version, so we liked. Whereas I think, again, maybe to a younger market, it's more appealing if it looks like a Pixar film. So, I can't go through it. I was more annoyed, actually, that because Geddy was going to do the Popeye movie, and he released like a 3-minute animated, I don't know if you saw it, there was a fight on a boat.
I don't think I did.
And it was so beautiful. It was so beautifully animated. It wasn't his normal angular style. It was a proper CGI movie. And then he walked away from the project because they said they wouldn't allow him to make the film he wanted to make. And it was proper Popeye, like we remember. So that would have been 2 things he'd done based on things I loved as a kid. Even the Robin Williams Popeye film has a soft spot in my heart because I watched it in a... Just remember this. I watched it in a truck stop cafe just outside Banbury when our van broke down, and the woman in the truck stop, there was all these burly men, and then there was me, aged 10. And my dad went, "Oh, he's all right." And everyone's like, "Oh, come on, let's get the lad a drink. What can we get him?" And she was like, "Oh, I've got a can of Tango in my truck." It's like, "Oh, yeah, all right." So this woman trucker gave me a can of Tango, and then one of them went, "Oh, let's see what's on the telly." And they flicked through and they found the Popeye live action, which was filmed in Malta. And I watched the entire film. It just started. I watched the entire film in a truck stop, surrounded by really friendly truck drivers, and it wasn't at all weird.
No, it doesn't sound weird.
Now. Sounds really weird, but it was really nice, and I enjoyed that. But yeah, so this one's all Clone Wars centered around the box, and then we've promised more expanded stuff, which I guess makes sense because proper Star Wars people are going to buy it regardless for their kids, and then justify the classic series for themselves as well. They'll like this stuff, and of course the new trilogy will introduce the classic characters probably to a new generation. That might then go back. I had a conversation with someone today who genuinely believes that episodes 1 to 3 are better than 4 to 6.
Well, that person is wrong.
The visuals are a lot better. And it's not about the visuals, it's about the fact that there wasn't a decent character in the whole of those films. Even
the established characters were terrible.
Boba Fett's dad couldn't be as good as Boba Fett, given 2 films almost to star in.
I'll give Mace Windu his due.
Old Mace Windu can piss off. That was Samuel L. Jackson.
Samuel L. Jackson.
It's not Mace Windu. That's Samuel L. Jackson who, in an interview, said, if I was ever like Star Wars, I would have a purple lightsaber. And they gave him a purple lightsaber because he's Samuel L. Jackson. Well, and because the other option was a brown leather lightsaber with bad motherfucker written down the side. And they said, no, you can't have that one, but you can have your purple one. Even though it contradicts everything about the crystals used in manufacturing lightsabers in the official Star Wars canon, now we've got to write a whole new storyline, which involves crystal caves, where you buy these crystals or mine these crystals, and each one will create a slightly different lightsaber blade. That was never part of it, but Samuel L. Jackson made that exist by being Samuel L. Jackson.
Didn't Knights of the Old Republic come before Mace Windu? Or am I imagining that?
Yeah, but that was a game. That don't count.
Alright.
Oh, shut up. Interestingly about the games, I read an article about the Star Wars games.
Right.
So, you know how... I don't know if you ever read any of the Expanded Universe books that take place after
I had
Jedi.
A book on tape of the first one after Return of the Jedi.
Heir to the Empire.
Is that what it was?
With Admiral Thrawn.
Yes,
yeah,
it was.
Heir to the Empire.
Yeah, and it was narrated by the guy who played Wedge Antilles.
Dennis Lawson.
Yeah. And Emma and I listened to that in my old Fiesta on the way down to Devon one week.
That is amazing. That's a good book. There's a whole trilogy.
Masters of both.
Yeah, I like that. But now none of that's canon. Because there's a new trilogy coming.
Yeah. It's made me a little bit sad.
Any of the games that reference any of that are also now not canon. Disney have basically come out and said the only canon video games are ones that take place during the previous films or during the new trilogy.
Right. So Lego Clone
Shadows
Wars.
of the Empire is
on
no
N64.
longer canon.
Shadows of the Empire is no longer canon.
No longer canon.
But that took place between Empire and
yeah,
Return
but
of
it
the
doesn't
Jedi.
show any events that are relevant,
Right,
except
so-
like the IG-88 fight where he's looking for Han Solo.
Right, okay.
And despite the fact that you can see his ship taking off from Mos Eisley in the 97 special edition of A New Hope, they put that in just as a little reference. But, no, that doesn't count. Dark Forces doesn't count anymore. Because that was stealing the Death Star plans in one mission. But, of course, now we've got
a spin-off.
Movie that's going to tell that story.
Yep.
X-Wing and TIE Fighter both had missions where people left. There was one where you had to defend the fleet. I think a Rogue Squadron game. You had to defend the fleet when they left.
Sounds
Yavin
familiar.
to go to Hoth. That doesn't exist anymore. If it didn't happen in the constraint of the films, like it was on the screen, they don't count. So some elements of Shadows of Empire would count, but not the rest of the storyline.
Okay, so Star Wars Battlefront counts.
Star Wars Battlefront does count.
So Force Unleashed doesn't count either
Force
anymore.
Unleashed don't count, no.
Okay.
So, yeah.
But Lego Star Wars The Clone Wars does.
Yeah. It's a weird place to find yourself in. But also the fact that a lot of these games now that were part or inspired by these expanded universe books and characters, they don't exist. So there was a Shadows of Empire book.
Yeah,
and those characters then kind of stayed in the area for some of the comics, but all gone. No longer
Yeah,
canon.
because I've read the book and there was an N64 game based on the book, if I remember right now.
There was, yeah. So all this sort of thing is it's very bizarre, but I guess it makes sense. I mean, like what you were saying with DC, there's a lot of things where you have to kind of be very careful about your property and
yes, because they've
through.
got in. I don't want to call it hot water, but they've pissed some people off with that.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll talk about that.
We'll talk about that later on. But that said, Star Wars Infinity, Disney Infinity 3.0 was always going to sell well. The Marvel one sold to people who like Marvel.
Yep.
This will sell to people who like Star Wars. I just kind of wish it was more a Star Wars game than a Disney Infinity game. Because I've got Disney Infinity 2.0, haven't played it that much. I bought every Marvel character that was at launch for my son for his birthday, and we probably played with half of them. We played more Guardians of the Galaxy story mode than any other. We really need to sit down and play it properly, but it just doesn't feel a good enough Marvel game on its own ground. I'd rather have had a Guardians of the Galaxy game than 2.0 with a little side missions themed on those characters.
I think I've watched Guardians of the Galaxy 3 times this week.
Yeah?
I forgot how much I really enjoyed that film.
It's a very good. Somebody said this week that Avengers is better than Guardians of the Galaxy, and I thought I was in a bit of a quandary as to what to think.
See, I think I don't know if I put it on Twitter or not. There was part when I was watching it, maybe I just said to him, it's like, I might prefer this to all of them, just because it is so out there.
Yeah.
And it's not for everybody. I understand. Like, I think my mum said she started watching the first 10 minutes. Is like, this is too weird for me.
But that first 10 minutes sets the bar.
It does.
If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you won't.
And I can see why a lot of people would prefer either of the Avengers films to Guardians. I think you have to
Unless
be able
you're
to
a feminist.
Right.
Straightening my glasses there. That doesn't work very well on audio, does it?
It doesn't. No.
Well, Josh Whedon going off of Twitter because people say that these films are bloody sexy.
Yeah, it's like Buffy the Vampire Slayer never happened.
It is like Buffy the Vampire Slayer never happened. Or the film that came before that, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, with strong female leads. Or anything else that he's ever done that was worthy and led to a lot of actresses and people aspiring to be stuff.
Firefly.
Instead, taking on an existing universe where this imbalance has been an issue for decades.
Yep.
Of every art cover being topless, muscly men and women with improbably shaped asses. Oh, hang on a second. We think this film's a little bit sexist. Of course it is. It's a comic book movie. I'm not justifying it. I think Black Widow is a brilliant female role model. Well, she hits people with chairs, but that's fine as long as it's not a spouse or a child.
Yes.
Yeah, that is the rules.
It's the rules.
That's what the police told me.
All right.
I can hit whoever I want with a chair, but not a spouse or a child. But yeah, it is bizarre, especially with Scarlet Witch, who's neither sexualised to the point. Because I think with Black Widow, a lot of people say she's purely like a sexual object, and she uses her sexual
feminine charms.
Yeah, but I think that's part of she would. Like if you were a Russian spy, you would do that because men are stupid and easily tricked into.
That was the whole kind of point of where we meet her in Avengers Assemble.
Yeah. And
it's fluttering
Winter
the
Soldier
eyelids
as well.
to make the Russian general think basically she's some silly...
Not Winter Soldier. Avengers Assemble when she interrogates Loki, don't she?
Yeah.
By crying.
Playing
Playing
on those stereotypes.
Exactly. And that's the strength. But yeah, the problem is people like to jump on stupid bandwagons, and they should all just fuck right off. Graham Linehan coined it perfectly when a couple of Gamergators said, "I can't believe you're supporting Josh Whedon." He was like, "Well, he's done nothing wrong, and I'm not on your side either." And he went, "As if we'd have you." And he went, "Well, that's fine. Go back to your treehouse, you bunch of cunts." And then somebody went, "How dare you? Don't diss treehouses." He went, "I am sorry. I really do. I didn't mean any offence to people who like treehouses. Treehouses are cool."
I can't remember what he was replying to, but there was an article. I think his wife posted the link, and again it was about Gamergate or something like that. So he replied. He made some witty reply, and it was like, no, what was it? It was about feminism, you silly bitch. And it's a very tongue-in-cheek reply, which he often does, and we do as well. And then this website suddenly jumped on it, going, "Oh look, Graham Linehan, yeah, it's about feminism, but he called somebody a silly bitch." And it's kind of like, does anybody want to tell them? And then somebody's like, "What? That you called some woman a silly bitch?" And he's like, "No, that it's my wife." It's like, yeah, do you see the stupidity here?
I know. The thing is, he's got to that point where Linehan's got to the point where he knows he doesn't need to argue. He can just go, "Really? Yep. You're stupid." But yeah, so there we go. That's quite a long way of saying Disney Infinity 3.0 has got Clone Wars on the box.
But it does lead us to another strong female character.
It does. Well, you say strong female character. Batgirl.
Yeah.
That is what you were going for there.
It was.
Next item on there. Batman Arkham Knight Season Pass.
Yes.
£33.
Yes. But you get to play as Batgirl.
Which, now...
Does that justify 33
We'll get to that in a second. Does it justify the fact that
you're paying
before the game is even out, they're to explain what content you're going to get in the 6 months after release? Now, a lot of the content is exciting. Batgirl stuff, a racetrack to race classic Batmobiles around. Fair enough, but 33 quid almost seems like we know we're going to knock the 50% off this at some point. So let's charge a really high price at the start. What really pissed me off is there is a bundle that you can buy on the store, which is like $79.99. That is the game and the season pass. If I had a PC, I can get the same bundle for 23 quid.
Yep.
That pisses me off.
That makes sense.
Because that's still a digital product via a digital marketplace. Why am I paying £50 more for the same game? Like in the past, the difference between PC and console usually was PC you could download it via Steam, console you had to get it on disc.
Yeah.
Now we're not in that position anymore.
We are not.
And the parity between the two is huge. I mean, we're looking at Mortal Kombat at the moment. I've just ordered it. 40 quid on disc. It was $17.99 on PC. I was like, I mean, I know I haven't got a PC to run it, but that just leaves a very bad taste in my mouth. And this season pass, the season pass alone costs more than the game and season pass on PC.
Yeah.
I don't get that. It's almost like the console owners are subsidising the PC version.
Yeah.
Somehow. Like, well, we know we'll make the money there, but the PC version, we'd rather it be cheaper, otherwise people will pirate it to hell. So that has to be cheap, otherwise people will just rip it, and that'll be done. But, never mind that. Criticisms aside, Batgirl.
Yeah.
Now, how much of the Arkham series have you played?
I played Arkham Asylum.
Okay.
I started Arkham City.
That's fine, as long as you played some of Arkham City.
Yep.
Because you'll know that the Oracle features as a character in Arkham City. Now,
she appeared in Arkham Asylum towards the end as well.
Briefly, but she was more in Arkham City as I thought you'd remember her more from that.
Yeah.
So, you would also know who the Oracle is.
Yes.
And who the Oracle was.
Yes.
So, we also know that Batgirl has to be a quite early prequel to all of the games.
Yes.
Which is quite exciting, because what it also means is maybe we might have the Joker back.
Yes. And
see the Killing Joke scene played out in the Asylum universe.
Yes.
Which would justify £33 to me, if it's done right.
I
Because
still don't
it's
know if I can justify £33.
The Batgirl character, just as a playable character, no interest at all. The most important Batgirl storyline of all time in the Arkham universe, yes, I would like to see that.
But again, don't we come back here to the internet and the bit where you can go YouTube.
I
Scene.
I know.
Oh, I've seen it now. That was very well done. I've saved myself £3 in the process.
There is that, but then I think if they get it right, that content will be something that wouldn't have sat right in the game.
Yep.
So it works as DLC. It has to be a DLC.
Yep.
That's what I want. I don't want something that's like, oh, you can now play the game as Batgirl. That's absolute bullshit. If it's a complete standalone, like 10-hour-long campaign,
Yep.
for that sort of money, including everything else you're getting, I mean, you're looking at £15 for a standalone campaign of 10 hours. I'm fine with that.
Okay.
If you break it down to component parts.
No, I can understand that argument. Yeah.
And that's the point. Like, the problem we've got is we're being told such a small amount of information, but we're being told the price. Maybe they should have said, there's going to be a season pass, it's going to have this content, this content, this content, price to be announced. Then let us get excited about it, gauge the excitement, and then go, it's going to be £30. Because you then think, well, actually, I'm quite excited about this. Instead, all you see is, whoa, that's a high price. Like, if I was in Resident Evil 4 and the bloke went, I'll buy that at a high price, I'd go, yeah, you might, but nobody else will be.
Yeah.
The problem is people will, and Warner has noticed. Now, they've also done this with Mortal Kombat as well. The Season Pass Mortal Kombat, I think, is £20 for 4 characters and some skins. But the 4 characters are Jason Voorhees and Predator as well as 2 Mortal Kombat characters. I really want them. Like, really, really want them.
Yeah.
And I object to £20 for 4 extra characters. The game's already got 30-odd, 40-odd. But then they are licensed characters, and that would have, with it being a cost that was incurred, and you can't put that cost on the normal game. So you have to sort of say, right, okay, well, this is separately developed, it's a separate budget, it needs to be recouped. We've talked about this before with DLC, that there are costs that need to be covered. But I just think when you go above £15 for DLC, it gets a bit tricky. Yeah. It's not an insta-buy. A friend of mine today came to the shop and was telling me that the Far Cry 4 Season Pass had been reduced on the marketplace. And he just bought it. And he was very excited because it was reduced to £17.79. And I thought, that's not a reduction, but that's half price. It's a £35 season pass, or a £25 season pass, £8, whatever it is. But that was a hefty drop for him. But it was, as far as I could say, that was still too high. And I said, I was going to buy it. And he said, well, I want to play with you on it. And I went, well, I'm not buying it. So he bought me the DLC. And that was that. So I now know a new strategy with that. Do you want to play that with me? Yeah, I do. I don't think I'm going to buy that game. Oh, you bought me the game? Oh, brilliant. Okay. I haven't got a live membership. Oh, you bought me a live membership? Oh, okay. But yeah, it's the £33 just is a lot of money. But then Destiny was £35 for the season pass.
Yeah.
So maybe we're just in an age of very expensive content.
We are, and I talked about the Destiny DLC a couple of times.
Yeah.
And obviously we've just talked about Trials of Osiris and Prison of Elders. They have, to a point, changed my opinion. I still think £20's a lot.
Yeah.
But part of it depends on how much you think you will play these things. I'm talking about replay value here, not just, as you said, if you've got a 10-hour spin-off Batgirl campaign, then I can see your argument that if you say that is half the DLC, that's £15.
Yeah.
That's a 10-hour sub-game.
Yeah.
The Order 1866 was less than that, and that was a £40 full game.
Exactly.
So I can see that argument completely. And think like the Destiny ones, although I kind of ummed and ahed about whether I wanted to buy Dark Below, I probably had £20 worth out of Nightfall weekly, story missions, Crota's End, as much as I have a love-hate relationship with it. I've probably got a good chunk of my money back out of it just for the playtime. And if you apply the same theory to House of Wolves, especially with Prison of Elders, if it is as being billed, I think I will play that quite a lot, or I'd like to. Yeah. So again, I feel like I will get some of my money out of it. Yeah. Whereas other DLCs, I might have bought them and then maybe played them once. And then it's like, well, going back to things like Gears 3 and that, it's like, well, I played it once, but I paid a £5 for it.
Yeah.
I feel a bit differently about pay a £5 and play it once, maybe twice.
And this is it.
As opposed to...
But then you get games like Plants vs Zombies Garden Warfare, which I've never been charged for DLC.
Yeah.
Every new game mode, every new map, completely free to make the community stronger. And it bloody worked. Because it wasn't an established franchise. It had to do something to say, this is why you should keep our game. And it's now in the EA Access vault, so everyone can play it, and all the content's free, and it's great. But then you've got this other side where, games are... the other part of it was something that I talked about in a pub the other day, which was, we were talking about the price of Xbox One games compared to at launch. So the console at launch, a lot of them were about $54.99 a game. Well, now we're seeing them launching at about $35 to $38 a game. I'm wondering whether the development cost for these games is somewhat significantly more, and they're kind of recouping the loss on the fact that they've got to sell these games at a lower price. Because when they drop below $39.99, the uptake on consoles and sales of games increased massively. But of course, the development is still going to take. So is the DLC being used to kind of supplement? So if you add £33 onto £40, that's $73. But if it was a $54.99 game, and you add £20 DLC, which is reasonable, you're still paying the same amount. But what you're actually now doing is overall paying the retail price as opposed to the other. So I don't know, because we were talking about it was the Destiny DLC. We were talking about the Trials of Osiris, and he was saying that he didn't buy the season pass, and he knew that I'd got the limited edition version, so I'd got the season pass as part of it. And he said, for you, you're quite lucky because essentially you pay £20 for the season pass. If you take off the other content, so £10 a pack. Even if I don't play it very much, I've got some content.
So the bit that might trip me up is when I come to moving to the Xbox One.
Right.
Because then I have to buy Destiny again. And I think the DLC again. I don't think I bought it within. I may have been alright with Dark Below. Maybe. Yeah. But again, the problem with that is by the time I come to actually buy an Xbox One, it's probably going to be autumn, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
And have I fallen outside the window here? So I might just bring another 30, 40 quid.
Yeah, or maybe Destiny will have a complete edition by then.
Maybe. I've still got to buy that again.
Yeah,
I know I'd have to buy the game again, which hopefully, theoretically, by then would be 10 or 15 quid new.
Yeah.
It's been out that long.
Yeah.
So it's a strange one.
We will see. We will see. Did you see about the Destiny T-shirt they're doing for the Nepal relief?
Did you see how much it would have cost me to buy one?
They've changed that now. They've changed the shipping rates. It was £30, wasn't it, shipping?
The shipping was more than the shirt.
Yeah, the shirt was 18, I think, and the shipping was £30.
I think the total, when I looked, I thought, do you know what, I like that idea. Emma gave a little bit of money. She did a text donation.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know what, I kind of like that idea, because I kind of like the smug twatness of having this limited edition T-shirt, but also got that nice warm feeling of
for the people at home, basically what this was, Bungie have designed a T-shirt which is 3 classes standing on a mountain with the Guardian in the Traveller in the background.
Yeah, and the Nepalese flag.
Yeah, the Nepalese flag. And the idea was you buy it and all profits go to the charity. You also get a shader and an emblem in the game.
Yep.
So it wasn't just you buy this and you got a T-shirt. It was you buy this and everyone in the game knows that you're all right.
Yeah.
You're a good guy.
Yeah.
And they'll probably hesitate in shooting you for a split second.
And then shooting back anyway.
Your kill-death ratio will increase and you'll be the best player in the world because you want to donate to charity. And it's a good deal. But only if you're in America.
Yeah.
It's actually more expensive post-Canada than it is to the UK now.
Is it?
they're still having all sorts of problems. And they're not accepting PayPal, which is why I haven't bought one.
See, I would have bought one. Well, yeah, that was the second stumbling block for me.
Yeah.
No PayPal, which I don't understand in this day and age.
No.
But there we go. And yeah, it was like $68 for the T-shirt and postage. And I'm just like...
And I just...
Oh.
I did...
Ironically, I would have given more money to the charity effort via this T-shirt than I would have probably done just by texting a £5.
Well, this is the thing, like, when you take the post out, they're not getting that. It's only the profits that go to the charity. So you might spend 60 quid and the charity get 2 quid.
It doesn't cost that much to make a T-shirt.
No.
We've had Holocaust T-shirts made up.
But I'm saying, the shipping won't count.
Oh, yeah, no, I don't count. Yeah. So, wiping that off. But even then, the T-shirts don't cost that much.
They're claiming profits. It's not all proceeds, this is profits.
The profit's going to be more than 2 quid.
Well,
it would cost them fuck all to make
it's a tenner. If you're paying 60 quid to donate a tenner, you may as well just donate a tenner. What Bungie should
do that's what I mean.
Is have a link on their site and say, if you don't want a T-shirt but you want shaders, donate £10, we'll give you shaders. Like, give people the opportunity to still donate
it's not a really good idea.
and have a digital representation without having a T-shirt. Because then you haven't got to post a physical thing. And frankly, I mean, I have this issue sometimes when charities will go, "Hi, if you donate to us, we'll give you this, this, and this." I'm like, keep all that. Just, I'll donate. I don't need.
I still can't fathom out how it costs $44 at any point.
I get a loot crate sent from America once a month.
I've signed up for that.
Usually with, I know you have, we've got an affiliate link on the site so people can join up as well and become looters. But that has a T-shirt in it, in a box, and the whole thing costs 22 quid. So why the hell can they not just put it in a loot crate box and you borrow their postage?
Well, the Marvel Collector Course thing started. That's just come out a week ago.
Don't even start me on that beautiful bitch.
Yeah, I nearly started that. But that's every 2 months.
Yeah.
And that was less for, again, a similar size box.
Vinyl.
I know, and a T-shirt. I was tempted, sorely tempted. It literally came out, or it was properly announced a couple of hours after I signed up for Loot Crate. I can't do both in one day.
No.
Can I?
And I'm unemployed now, so I can't either.
I nearly did, because I could use PayPal for that one. I've got to pick me PayPal. But I didn't.
Yeah, there you go.
Part of me wishes I did, but equally I'm like, no, I've got my Loot Crate.
Yeah. You didn't want that founders thing, did you? As well.
I know.
And the yearly reward.
Yeah.
It's a very nice. If you've not looked, listeners, do go and look at Marvel Collector Core because it's beautiful. And it's got one of the best unboxing videos I've ever seen. Just to help us, the pop vinyl, getting amazed by things just appearing in front of it, going, "What the hell is this T-shirt?" And then but not just T-shirts. You're one of a selection of T-shirts. You don't know which one you're going to get until it arrives. And it's like, that means I might have to buy more than one to get all. Oh, they know what they're doing.
They do.
Good old Marvel. But yeah, it's that's the thing. But this Destiny thing, I wish they did just a digital only thing, because I would totally get behind that. And I'd like to have the shader. I don't play the game. I like that kind of thing. They did. There was one game you could buy, and it gave you like an in-game T-shirt. I forget what it was now. There was a charitable game. They've done, I think, Castle Crashers. There is a Pink Knight,
right?
And if you bought that pack, it gave money to charity. I think it was a gay rights thing. I'm sure it was something like that. And again, I was totally up for that. It gave me a bit of digital DLC. And they got some money for a good cause. I just think the postage on that T-shirt is just that became more of a story than the T-shirt being for a good cause. Yeah, and that sort of defeats the point of any charity.
Completely.
But there you go. So if you are interested and you've got loads of spare money, go to Bungie's website and all the details are on there. Speaking of spending lots of money, Marvel finally one step closer to giving me my Netflix Punisher series, right? Because they've reacquired the movie rights, but that will also give them TV rights for Ghost Rider, Punisher, and Blade, all of which would make brilliant TV series.
Potentially, yes.
Blade had a series, short series, wasn't too bad, but the problem was it was trying to be the Wesley Snipes films Blade. Instead of doing a Blade
and even then,
series.
A third of those were rubbish.
Number 2 was very, very good.
1 and 2 were good.
Number 1 I really liked. Number 3, even Ryan Reynolds couldn't save it.
Even Jessica Biel couldn't save it.
I was more interested in Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
Not like that.
Oh.
Just, I like Ryan Reynolds in films. He's the best person on Twitter as well.
He is, actually.
I've
actually started following him, and he is quite amusing.
There was a whole load the other day where he was at home in this ranch just out in the middle of the woods, where he was clearly bored, responding to everybody that tweeted him, and it was gold, absolute gold. And like I said, with Deadpool on the way, amazing. But yeah, Ghost Rider TV series I think could be really, really positive. The films are a bit too far-fetched to work.
It's a far-fetched Ghost Rider film.
No,
the man with a flaming skull for a head.
What I mean is they tried to kind of almost ground that in some cinematic universe. It wasn't the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It was like Ghost Rider was kind of the only kind of hero type thing in that world. Like he was going against normal people. Whereas if you can imagine him in the proper Marvel universe, I mean he can now appear in the Civil War if he wants. All of these can. I'd love to see Punisher in the Civil War because he was in the Civil War.
He was.
So I'd like to see him be the first. See him and Spider-Man having a disagreement because I think his first ever appearance was in Spider-Man.
Probably.
If memory serves.
I think that's one of the Marvel pocketbooks.
It probably is.
Enter the Punisher or Night of the Punisher.
I beg your pardon. Enter the Punisher. That was one of Spider-Man's pocketbooks.
Oh.
Whoa. What is this? Oh. That's why he's got a skull on there. Oh. But yeah, I would like to see the Punisher TV series. I'd like to see Blade done as a TV series and not a film again. And I think Ghost Rider could work really well as a kind of fantasy TV series.
Depending on how they did it, it could work as a film or a TV series.
I mean, Daredevil, I didn't think would work as a TV series. And then because of the constraints of TV, it worked really well. I think Daredevil...
But that's also set a bar for an adult TV series. Because some of the ones...
Well, this is it. All of these will work better
as an adult show.
And we said, with Netflix, it has that automatically. That market is the 18 market.
Because that's one of the things you get with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and things is, although it is adult to a point, it's also not so hardcore that teenagers can watch it.
Yeah.
You know, kids, I say kids in the sense of young teens, mid-teens and into adulthood. That whole group can watch it. Whereas Daredevil is made as an adult.
Much like Torchwood and Doctor Who.
Yeah. It's accessible.
Torchwood's coming back with Big Finish. I don't know if you know about Big Finish.
No.
They're an audio radio play company.
Right.
They do basically... See, normally, like what you hear as an audio is somebody reading a story. These they put on full staged cast things.
Right.
So it's like you're listening to a show. And they did a lot of Paul McGann, Doctor. They did loads of those. Loads of the Sixth Doctor as well, Colin Baker, because he'd obviously left quite quick. And so they've gone back and done other Doctors. But now they're doing Torchwood, and they've got John Barrowman and a lot of the
Didn't
others.
Richard E. Grant do some Doctor Who radio
He did
productions?
Scream of the Shulker, which was a web animated one. I don't believe he's done anything Big Finish, but he did some that were exclusive to BBC.
Okay.
Web
I know he did something, but
yeah, he was a Doctor, and I can't remember who it was who played the Master in those, but it might have been Derek Jacobi, who then went on to be the Master and then turned into John Sim. I think that was the link between them. But I digress. All of those three would work quite well as a mature thing. Because I think that's the problem Ghost Rider had, was it was a 12, really, and Ghost Rider shouldn't be. It's a flaming man with a flaming skull. The Punisher, again, has to be an 18 if it's done right. It hasn't had that. I mean, even the one with John Travolta in wasn't terrible.
It was okay.
The Punisher as a character works, but he doesn't really work as a hero. He's an anti-hero, so he needs something to bounce him up against. And if you put him in the city that the Daredevil exists in, an Iron Fist exists in, I mean, it could work. I mean, it might not have to be his own series straight away.
See, that's the other thing. For me, the Punisher always worked better as either a strange antagonist or a very dark protagonist, as you said, like the anti-hero.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, it's kind of one of those ones you almost want in a small dose.
Yeah.
Because if you've got a proper full-on Punisher, that is pretty full-on to have over 90 plus minutes in a film.
Yeah.
Whereas a TV series, it's kind of like Game of Thrones. If you watch that all back to back to back to back, it gets a little bit heavy and a little bit depressing.
I can imagine from Twitter this week.
Yeah, because it's just so much doom and gloom in a block like that.
I saw a picture.
You'd have to be a hardy soul to come out the other side of that smiling. And the Punisher's kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
It's such a very dark and, it is so almost amoral to a point. So he's both extremely moral but also amoral at times.
I mean, Ghost Rider and Blade would work in the same universe. Both talk about supernatural elements. Punisher could work in that universe.
Yeah. And Punisher could tie in with the new Spider-Man film.
Exactly. So there's all that, and I'd like that. I'd like them to start peppering these things in. Like get all these characters in, and acknowledge the fact that maybe their films haven't been great, but we've got this, or we've got that, or we can do this. Because, like I said, establishing the Punisher as a bit part in another series is half the battle. You've got to get rid of people thinking, well, is that Thomas Jane? Is that Dolph Lundgren? What is this? I mean, the fight in the Thomas Jane version against the big sailor man with
Kevin
striker,
Dash.
that was one hell of a fight scene. It was brilliant. That made that film what it was. Even I said John Travolta couldn't ruin it. The Dolph Lundgren one it had its moments. But again, it came out at a time really where Marvel films weren't Marvel films. It was in 1987.
We had David Hasselhoff as Nick Fury.
We had David Hasselhoff as Nick Fury. We had Dolph Lundgren as He-Man and Punisher within a couple of years.
And then there was the DC ones, like the Flash film as well. That was a sort of a little spurt of them.
And TV series in between. And of course then you had New Adventures of Lois and Clark with Dean Cain and Terry Hatcher. I mean, it was not a good time for comic book people.
It was a strange time.
Up until Bryan Singer came along. And
it was the best of times.
Oh,
it was the
gosh.
best of times.
Fed up of all this bullshit. Look, I mean, I know say that Tim Burton's Batman came out, which was good.
It was.
But that was because it was Tim Burton doing Batman. I think, and like the Joel Schumacher ones proved, it wasn't the Batman films that were great, it was the director behind them. So, so that's all very exciting. So well done, Marvel. Rock Band 4.
Yes.
We talked about this briefly before, we knew it was coming. I don't know if you've read the article that comes attached to this piece of news that I put on the running order.
I started to have a little look on my lunch break.
It just sounds to me like they are doing exactly what Guitar Hero did. Where it's like,
it does sound a lot like that from what I've read.
And yet somehow they're okay because they're saying, well, it's like being in a real band. It's like being... the only thing in there that I read that I loved was the idea of the drummer starting the song by hitting the cymbal a few times. I like that idea because it felt like a proper band experience. But then if you're playing on your own, how do you start the round? Because you haven't got a drummer. So you can't start your song, you'll be permanently stuck. So that feature only works if there's 4 of you. They said they're going to support the Rock Band sound set, the stage set, which was a set of lights and a smoke machine you could buy that would sync up with the game.
So that seems a bit excessive.
Well, but then you have to remember they did the Ion drum set and the 256 button guitar and everything else. I mean, there is a rabid fan base for this. But yeah, they're basically saying, it'll support all these old songs, it'll support old accessories, all we're going to do is, if it was a drum bit in the middle, instead of just having we'll give you a randomly generated series of notes to play. Well, don't give me randomly generated then, because it's not really freedom then, you're just making me play what you want me to play. I don't know, there's nothing in there that gets me excited, not like what Guitar Hero Live did. Guitar Hero Live looked like a next step, this just looks like Rock Band. And that's not a bad thing, because Rock Band's great. But
they're trying to be too much like
Guitar Hero is criticised for being something new, but nobody seems to be criticising Rock Band for not doing anything new.
It's true.
And
it read slightly weird to me.
Yeah.
And I don't know. The way they kind of pitched it is... was it the IGN article you sent me? It was the last music game you'll ever need. And it's kind of like...
Well, Rock Band 1 should have been the last music game you'll ever need, because the second one was just the same one but with new songs.
Yeah, it was all a bit... I don't know.
Basically what they're saying by that is, I won't ever need a piano guitar. That's all they're saying. Because they've taken support for that out, which is also stupid of them. They say they were going to support those accessories. But the 6,000 people who bought that, they all want that back. They bought it. I don't know. I'll still be getting it. Of course I'll still be getting it. But I'm a little bit annoyed that they've sort of gone to that level. Right. That's the end of the news. It's time for your bit.
Yeah. We're going to talk about Suicide Squad.
Whoa.
We've obviously had our Marvel special last week. Off the back of Age of Ultron coming out. But of course there are 2 DC films of note coming next year.
There really are. Both looking very good.
Yes. And we've touched on Batman vs Superman Dawn of the Justice League, which is what it might as well be called. We've touched on that a couple of times on previous episodes. But we saw the first full squad picture of the Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
David Eiler tweeted it out.
Yeah.
And it's probably ramped up the excitement for this film tenfold, I would say. Because a few people... We had the Jared Leto one, the Joker, which we spoke about, and we both liked it, but it did split opinion.
Yes.
Whereas this group shot seemed to have basically been universally cheered.
And yet is exactly the same universe and setting and theme. If you look at Harley right now, she's got tattoos all over her legs.
Yep.
She's wearing the same sort of gear. They're all wearing a very 90s range of clothing and accessories, which makes me wonder
commented on that.
Whether this is a setting that would also kind of, if you kind of put late 90s, early 2000s, that Joker would be really relevant as well, because that's the Marilyn Manson era.
Yeah.
But who have we got in the Suicide Squad then?
Okay.
What amazing characters that DC have
do you want to do characters or actors?
Let's do the characters, because nobody cares about the actors with the exception of Margot Robbie and Will Smith, probably.
Okay, well, I'll start from the left of the screenshot.
Okay, so this photo is the one where they're in front of the big logo for the prison.
Yep.
So, there we go.
So, the Belle Reve Federal Penitentiary.
Which, if you're not a fan or you don't know about Suicide Squad, it's basically where all these people are incarcerated.
Yep, prison for the superpowered criminals is how it's described.
And they're allowed out if they take part in Suicide Squad missions.
Well, Task Force X was the official name, but yeah.
Yeah.
So on the extreme left is Slipknot.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with the band.
No.
And he is described as a master assassin utilising ropes, which makes sense with Slipknot.
I mean, this is the one thing about, as I've said this about these last bit when we talked about the supervillains in Suicide Squad comics generally tend to be the best supervillains.
No, but as you said before,
they work well as a
that
team.
makes them killable,
Yeah.
which might be the most important point almost, that you've got these guys because there isn't this strange attachment. I mean, the Joker, the Penguin, the Riddler, people do have something of an attachment to.
Yeah.
Harley Quinn, I'd say there's an attachment to because
she'll survive.
Well known.
You know she'll survive,
of course,
because she's Harley Quinn.
These well known, well established characters, which even in the most perilous of perilous circumstances, find a way to survive.
Whereas these can all get killed at any time.
Quite happily.
And that makes it quite exciting.
Yes.
And I think it would be quite surprising for people who only watch comic book movies where that doesn't normally happen. Because generally, as a rule, you don't tend to see many deaths because they want to keep those characters.
Not too many.
Whereas with this, they've got an entire prison full of people they can bring through. The film version, which you're going to borrow, the animated version, I think Killer Frost was one of the people there, but she's in the Flash
TV series now,
So she's not in this because obviously that's gone through.
Yep.
So she's been replaced by Katana.
Yep.
Who, if you would like to introduce Katana to the world.
Now you've skipped out two others, yes.
Yeah, well, shut up.
Katana wields cursed Soul Taker's sword.
Yeah, so
does look quite cool with the
magic sword
face mask on there.
Yeah.
We've got Captain Boomerang,
my favourite.
Who you chuckled at on the previous episode. It's played by Jay Courtney, who's in Terminator Genesis. It's Kyle Reese this summer.
Yeah, and what I really like is the description they've given for him, because just in case you weren't entirely convinced of what Captain Boomerang might use,
he throws deadly boomerangs.
Deadly boomerangs.
Deadly is a key word.
As opposed to boomerangs that are designed for hunting, these ones are particularly deadly. There's a woman in Sherlock, there's a person in the Sherlock TV series who's killed by a boomerang.
Was that?
And it was a mystery because the body was found face down in the river, and there was a head injury, but they couldn't find a murder weapon. It was because it was a boomerang that hit him and then floated away. Yeah. Probably Captain Boomerang.
Could have been. Nice crossover.
Thank you.
So then we've got Enchantress by, is it Cara Delevingne?
Yeah.
Is that it's pronounced?
It certainly looks that way,
who's apparently the new Kate Moss, Sarah Mattel.
And looks absolutely ugly as hell in this film, which is brilliant.
So yes, she's the Sorceress Enchantress.
So Scarlet Witch.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Katana we just mentioned. Rick Flag, who is the leader of Task Force X.
And he will also most likely survive or die at the very last minutes of the film. And going by anything else, I reckon him and Harley will probably end up in a relationship going through the film, which is suggested by the photo because she is turned very towards him.
Yeah. So, and then we come to Harley Quinn, played by Margot Robbie, who was in Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah.
And
she's
Focus. It was Focus.
Focus she was in. And Home and Away.
Oh, she was Neighbours, wasn't she? Margot Robbie was in Neighbours.
Yep, sorry, I was thinking of
a different Australian soap.
I was thinking of the one who was in Transformers, who was in thing. It's okay, carry on.
So yeah, as we said, Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn. Will Smith is Deadshot.
He's that one who was in The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
He was.
And nothing of note since.
Well, yeah.
He was in Focus with Margot Robbie.
He was in a film with Margot Robbie.
This year.
It was actually this year, wasn't it? Yeah. He was on Top Gear. Yeah, he's done a couple of other things.
He's done Top Gear, yeah.
I don't. Yeah,
that old program.
He's not done a lot with his career as Will
Smith.
Smith.
Of Top Gear, the potential announcements. Have you seen the three? Philip Glenister.
I'd only seen Will Mellor.
No, it's Philip Glenister, Guy Martin, and a woman.
Vicky Butler Henderson.
No, I think it. Oh, I can't remember now.
I don't know.
But I thought Philip Glenister was very good because every time he was on, he was very, very good. Guy Martin's perfect for it. I love Guy Martin.
I don't mind him.
You should watch the TT film. He's very, very good in that. And I think he'll work well being in that place. And I'll try and find the other one while you carry on.
Yeah, so Will Smith's Deadshot.
Yep.
In this, and there was some on-set shots of Will Smith on doing the rounds on Twitter this week. So
with his eye.
With his eye. One cybernetic eye, yep.
Well, Killer Croc. He's been in the Batman Arkham games.
Yep.
So
he was in Arkham City, I remember that.
Of all of them, because obviously Harley will have been.
Yep.
But Deadshot has, and obviously Killer Croc, as you now mentioned.
Yes, and I know a lot of people were excited to see Killer Croc. Because, again, he's one of the more established Batman villains, I'd say.
He is, but he's also very, very small in this photo. Considering in a lot of things he is about 8 foot tall.
Yeah.
This does make me wonder whether they're going for a slightly more kind
grounded.
of... Yeah, like the Dark Knight trilogy, where this isn't too much. I mean, this is a guy who's got a skin condition, basically, that makes it...
Well, Bane was always monstrously big.
Jodie Kidd.
Oh, Jodie Kidd, yes. Who does the classic car show on Channel 5, I think.
Yeah.
So,
but I think those two were good. Anyway.
But yeah, so Killer Croc's in there. Again, a name people might be familiar with. He was in Arkham Asylum, I think.
Arkham Asylum and City.
And City as well? It's definitely in Arkham Asylum.
He was in Arkham Asylum, and I'm sure he was in one of the others, but he's in Lego Batman.
And then the last character is El Diablo.
Who I really like in the...
Fire manipulation
Yeah.
always opens up various avenues for great special effects.
Yeah, and he's and he's all tattooed up and scarred and stuff. I mean, they're all looking very good and dark and 15 plus rated.
Yes.
Which is something that the new DC films are all looking. They've got this very dark theme. Whether it's necessarily the content's going to be dark, I think Man of Steel was a dark
There was
film.
Undertones there.
And I think Dawn of Justice will be heading that way as well. And this is the thing that DC always was for me. It was always the more kind of... like Marvel was the excitable toddler in the play area. DC was a sulky 50-year-old with a long fringe, not wanting to talk to anyone, wearing a black jumper. And these films really capitalised on that, being like, you know what, Marvel have wrapped up the fun and jovial, let's do a big Hollywood blockbuster. Why not let's just do our superhero movies our way?
Yeah.
And the Flash and Arrow and stuff like that is going well.
I mean, even Arrow had a dark undertone to it.
Yeah, I mean, DC generally does. I mean, it's got rubbish superheroes, but at the same time, if you're going to kill off the villains like this, then I'm fine with it. I mean, yeah. This is like, it could be like Saw. They could literally put supervillains through Saw's traps. It wouldn't matter, because it's a Suicide Squad mission, you can do it.
And the other thing is, kind of like we saw with, I'll say, Guardians of the Galaxy, a lot of them aren't that well known. So A, you have that bit where you can kill them off, and it doesn't completely screw up canon from everywhere else.
Yeah.
But you've also got a lot of scope here to go dark, because you haven't got some strange established landscape.
No.
Because that's the one that we had with the Jared Leto stuff. It's all compared to Heath Ledger and Jack Nicholson.
Yeah.
Rightly or wrongly, everything kind of spins back to those two
I had a
films.
conversation with someone this week who said that Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn looks nothing like the Harley Quinn from the comics. I was like, well,
That's the point.
You name one film character that looks exactly like the version of comics. You find a Harley Quinn that looks like any other different artist's iteration of Harley Quinn.
But the problem is as well, if you say the Harley Quinn from Batman the Animated Series, which is also very popular, it wouldn't fit.
No.
It just wouldn't look right having a live action.
Now, even the
that style
Arkham
of
City
Harley
one,
Quinn
which was a bit more real worldy,
would still be a little, even by this standard,
wouldn't have
a little
worked
bit
in
far-fetched.
comparison with the Joker we'd seen. But this Harley absolutely
Yeah,
does.
it
They
all,
look
it
like
all fits together.
Yeah, she looks like the Courtney Love Harley Quinn, and it seems appropriate. In a team that's got basketball shirts and trench coats.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm very excited. I mean, David Ayer anyway, making a DC movie is exciting enough. I mean, he made Fury, and now he's making a DC movie. That is what I want. But yeah, I cannot wait for this enough. I'm more excited for this than I am Batman vs Superman.
I am actually now.
And as Ben Affleck has been seen on the set of Suicide Squad as well.
He's listed on IMDb as in it, as is Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor.
Yeah, I would like to see a link from between the two. But like I said, Batman should be in it in some way, even if he's just delivering a criminal at the beginning or so, just to sort of go, yeah, I'm Batman. And then just go, get in there, you damn dirty criminal. Did you ever see me in Jiggly? And then just leave. That would be amazing.
When you Daredevil, shut up. Shut the fuck up.
I recognise your chin. What chin? But no.
That's why I did that big metal suit with the massive neck piece.
And a great big light of eyes. He's like, no, I've got eyes, look. I can see.
Do you know who you share a chin with? Bruce Wayne. No. No.
Oh dear, it does make me laugh. What's this side note you've written down here? Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Well, it kind of ties into something we were talking about last week.
It does actually. Now I'm reading a bit more of it.
Struck me after... Because obviously we recorded the Marvel special and episode 17 last Tuesday. And then on whichever day was Wednesday, I think, Emma and I caught up on the episodes of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. we hadn't watched yet. And it struck me, obviously we talked about the division between the divisions at Marvel.
Yep.
TV and film going off at separate angles. Now there's an Inhumans film coming in, is it 2019, if I remember rightly?
It's a way off, yeah.
Yeah. But we're also seeing certain elements of the Inhumans appearing in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. now.
Yep.
So, again, it comes back to this whole, are they separate, aren't they? Because the Inhumans, if you look at the list of Marvel characters that were under the Inhumans umbrella, it's a pretty lengthy list.
Yeah, it really is.
Even longer than the Avengers, I think.
Well, do you know anything to do with the Kree at all? I mean, that covers a good 15 years of Marvel.
Yeah.
You've got the whole Secret Invasion thing, which is massive part of it, which a lot of Marvel people who've only come into it from the films wouldn't even be aware of.
Yeah.
But it's huge. Like the connotations of what happened to the Avengers and the Dark Avengers and everything else. I mean, it was all...
Because the Kree tie-ins with the TV and film at the moment, there's a tie-in to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty much the only mentions of them at this point in the current cinematic universe, or current Marvel universe. So it just sort of struck me because there was this very public, they're separate, coming out of Joss Whedon and others, all while Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is starting to kind of introduce the Inhumans as a entity, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
All in this sort of same
as a creation.
Yeah. All in this time, really, a very recent time frame.
Yeah.
Because obviously we're a little bit behind the US with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but not that far behind. So in the space of sort of a month or two window, everything that is Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has basically been debunked as completely separate from the films. And it's all just, it throws another pepper into this strange pot they're brewing at Marvel. And you wonder to a point if it's all going to loop back again in the future. Going, well, actually, the bit with Coulson wasn't related to the films, but the bit with the Inhumans kind of was. And it was the first iteration of the Inhumans. And then when the film comes along, it's whatever iteration of the Inhumans we're at to at that point. And yeah, it's a strange web that's forming. It didn't make a lot of sense to me.
No.
But again, you can explain it all the way going, well, no, that was that Inhumans, that's the TV bit. This is this Inhumans, it's completely different. And were completely different in the comics and so on. It's just a strange way of doing business.
It's almost like the TV are kind of going, well, you've announced that you're going to do that in 2019, so we're going to do the Inhumans, and we're going to kill them all. And then what are you going to do about it? 'Cause we're going to have Agent Coulson creating everything, and then you're going to be able to try and explain how Agent Coulson created everything in a world in which he's dead. How is that possible? But no, it's an interesting one.
It is.
What have you got now?
This is the apparently leaked email from the Marvel CEO
Right.
to somebody at Sony, which was... it's a Sony CEO, in fact, Michael Lind. So it's from Marvel's...
so is this part of the stuff that the WikiLeaks people put out? Because they basically published every one of the leaked Sony emails, didn't they? So
this is basically from Marvel CEO Ike Perlmutter to Sony CEO Michael Linton, as I mentioned.
So this might have been the start-up of "We'd like Spider-Man, please."
Could have been part of the conversation. Obviously, they've taken a part of this.
Yeah.
The
bit where he wasn't on his knees.
Yeah.
And Sony Man was going. Sony Man was saying, "Take that trophy, and gently push it inside." Yeah, that's right. No, still I'm Spider-Man. End of discussion.
So this particular email string was the subject title was female movies.
Female movies.
Yes.
So like Free Woman.
I guess. Basically, it's Perlmutter appears to be explaining to Linton why a female-centric superhero movie is bad business idea.
Whoa.
So there's 3 examples here, apparently, in this email.
Okay.
From Ike to Michael.
So
First,
Ike and Mike. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Electra. Comment, very bad idea, and end result was very, very bad. Not going to argue. No, it was a spin-off of a pretty weak.
I like that underneath that he has placed a link to a description of the film Electra.
Yeah.
But he didn't read the link enough to know how to spell Electra.
There we go. He's only the Marvel CEO.
Yeah.
The next example was Catwoman. Catwoman was one of the most important female characters within the Batman franchise.
I'd have called that
This film was a
Bat
disaster.
franchise.
Yes. Again, spelling's not great.
No.
And then this last one was Supergirl. Supergirl was one of the most important female superhero in the Superman franchise. This movie came out in 1984 and did $14 million total domestic with an opening weekend of $5.5 million. Again, another disaster. Now, even in 1984...
Helen Slater played Supergirl.
Ah.
And she was an actual brunette. I had to dye her hair blonde for the role.
Oh. Bouncy facts.
Oh, I know a lot about Supergirl. It was one of my favourite films as a kid. I really liked it because it was Supergirl.
Yeah.
And I used to hate Superman, but I could like everything else. I even like Krypto the Superdog more than I like Superman.
As I say, it's a strange insert from these emails, and the website I picked this up was Think Progress, which is obviously progressive thinking, all sorts of different...
But the email saying that's a terrible way of saying these movies are terrible. I can't think of many other female superhero-led movies.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Not superhero.
No, not strictly.
No.
But there aren't that many, and this is what gets me. Is they've listed some examples. There's plenty of other terrible superhero films where a male superhero is the main character. Daredevil, we mentioned.
Yeah.
Batman and Robin. George Clooney was not great. Superman 4, as you rightly said, it was the last Christopher Reeve one.
Well, these are all. I mean, Daredevil killed Marvel movies for a while.
Yep.
There hasn't been anything Daredevil until this year, so that's a 12-year gap. And even then, people were like, Daredevil's rubbish. And then they watched it and they were like, Daredevil's brilliant!
Awesome. So, they mentioned the Green Lantern. Well, you and I have discussed that before.
Yeah.
I know you're a fan of the extended cut. Which I haven't seen, to be fair. I've only seen the normal cut, which has good points.
Yeah,
but
Green Lantern's not a good hero. Like, it's going to be tricky.
Strain, yeah. Outside, I think actually in a comic book sense,
it works really well.
It works,
yeah.
But outside of that, it does start to get a little bit weird and awkward, even by superhero.
I was watching the newest Lego movie, which was Lego Justice League versus Bizarro League.
Okay.
It's the first Lego animated film based on DC. It's not from a game. And they had I can't remember which version of Green Lantern it was. It wasn't Hal Jordan. It wasn't it was a really annoying one anyway, very arrogant one. And all the way through I just thought, I forgot how annoying some of those versions of Green Lantern were. Just dickheads, a lot of them. So they took his power away, he went to this bizarro world, and the only thing he could conjure up was a chicken. It was amazing. They kind of totally diffused the fact that everyone hates that Green Lantern and basically went, now we can make his chickens. Yeah, rock and roll. It was quite good. It had Darkseid in it. Yeah. It's the first time a lot of people have seen Darkseid as a bad guy as well. Which is an interesting way to introduce him. And Superman was hiding the existence of Bizarro, and Batman was going around talking about how he got his kryptonite and one day he's going to take down Superman because he doesn't trust him, which leads really nicely into Batman vs Superman DC live action. It was almost like they were setting everything up going, okay, Justice League exists at this point, but Batman really does not trust Superman. So it worked before and after.
But yeah, so it was an interesting excerpt from one of these leaked Sony emails.
I've read a lot of these emails. Most of them are boring.
Yeah.
But some of them, because I went through, like, just using keywords. I was looking for Adam Sandler. Anyone just discuss. A lot of people at Sony not a fan.
Yeah. It's strange, that.
Makes a lot of money for them. And it was generally like, who wants to make this film now? So, just send in the standards. So you'll make us some money, but oh god.
But yeah, so it was an interesting one, especially given that Captain Marvel is slated to come out in 2018, which I'm really looking forward to, actually.
And I would say Agent Peggy Carter would fall under the female superhero.
Yeah, it certainly falls within that Marvel universe.
Black Widow doesn't need a standalone film because I don't think the characters are enough. I think Black Widow works better as part of the Avengers. I think it would develop better. Same with Scarlet Witch.
I think if you had a Black Widow Hawkeye prequel, there's more legs there because they obviously have that pre-existing relationship prior to Avengers Assemble.
But again, it's not a female-led movie. I dare say a Miss Marvel film could be good.
Well, they've got Captain Marvel.
I know, but I want just like straight Miss Marvel because I prefer the outfit.
But that's why I'm really looking forward to it, because this is how they're going. Is this going to be one of those ones where she finishes the film as Captain Marvel?
Well, there's 3 stages, isn't there, through the Marvel stage?
Yeah. So she starts as Ms. Marvel.
There is talk, though, that the only reason they chose Captain Marvel as the name is because there's a DC hero called Captain Marvel, which is...
They wanted to get there first.
And they wanted basically to copyright it and get a film rights with that name. And it's I think it's Shazam. I'm pretty sure Shazam in DC is also Captain Marvel. And there were loads of nerds were like, well, he shouldn't be called that anyway. And it was like, well, you know why they can't call him that? Yeah, it's not. It doesn't make sense. I was like, well, it does. So also, then you've got... I would also like to see a She-Hulk movie. Because they can't do Hulk because they haven't got the rights to Hulk. No. They could do She-Hulk. I'd quite like to see that, particularly with a legal setting. Could cross over Daredevil quite nicely. I mean, the problem is, female superheroes don't generally tend to be as fleshed out as the male ones. No. Because they were created to be attractive to teenagers. As shameful as it is, it's come around a lot recently where people have been given better. I mean,
we've got a female Thor. Yeah. They started a new series with...
And look how many people complained. Oh, you can't have a female Thor. We had a Thor that was a frog once. Shut up.
Exactly. So that's part of... I said the problem they have right now is the source material a lot of these films are going back on. I mean, some of the storylines they're feeding off are 20, 30 years old.
Yeah.
And it literally was a different time.
Yeah.
This isn't a pun or some silly joke. Just because the story's written in the 70s, all that bullshit. It was a different view of the world, and you're drawing from a source material, then trying to update it to modern
without
ethics,
without annoying the people who are so ingrained in the source material.
Exactly. Itself. So you're trying to do all this stuff. It's not easy always. And again, as you've just said, there's not a huge number of leading female superhero characters. No. Storm,
Mystique
was quite prominent.
We're getting a Wonder Woman movie.
Yeah.
Right? So that's potential.
Yep.
But is it a realistic female lead? No. It's an Amazonian princess who's got a magic rope. Right? The difference is you can't worry too much about a strong female lead being relatable. Like Captain America starts off as the weedy guy that anyone can identify with who becomes a hero.
That's why I like Captain America.
Nerdy guy becomes more than that. Iron Man, flawed guy, becomes more than that. Generally, the way it works with female superheroes is they're sexy, they put on a smaller outfit. Or they've already got
the difficulty as well is some of the best characters, or some of the people's favourite characters, and you've probably struck upon 3 of them straight away, are the flawed ones.
Yeah.
Tony Stark was inherently flawed.
Yeah.
You look at Demon in a Bottle, one of the classic Iron Man storylines, basically because he's a drunk.
Yeah.
And Spider-Man, as you say, he was this high school kid trying to be a high school kid and a superhero.
Yeah.
Captain America started out as this weakling, effectively. Yeah. He had all the best intentions in the world.
And that's why those heroes
Bruce Wayne
aren't straight heroes.
No. And the problem is...
that I wouldn't say that any of the Avengers are straight up role models.
No.
Like, they reflect people trying to do the right thing. But, I mean, even in Ultron, the arrogance of certain characters that makes them say, no, we don't need to do this, we don't need to do that, is still there. After everything they've ever learned.
See, that's the other problem you've got, is if you make Black Widow flawed...
Yeah.
And this is kind of maybe part of what we've seen this week with people going at Joss Whedon is, oh, why have you made her like that? Well, they're all flawed.
Yeah.
That's kind of part of what Marvel the best Marvel superheroes are flawed, and that's why they're popular.
Do you know what I think?
This isn't a gender thing.
No.
This is how they've created enduring characters.
Anything in Ultron, I think all of that film, I think Black Widow and Hawkeye are the centre of that as much as Captain America is.
Hawkeye definitely is.
Yeah, I mean, Hawkeye has an extended role, but I think the way they look at who Romanoff is, why she is how she is, and her regrets and her choices, is all dealt with. Right? It's not left to interpretation. It's all there on the screen. She accepts what she is, and she's not happy with what she is, but she's doing what she can. And that's, I think, a thing that goes through the whole film. They all know they've made mistakes, or they're going to make mistakes, or they're capable of this, or they're capable of that. And it's about accepting their responsibilities. And that means that what you've got is characters who aren't just sort of swarming around, wandering around, going, "Look at me, I'm amazing. You're a villain. Boom, you're beaten." Because that's what people seem to want. They want a female who can be like independent. Well, no, it's a team.
Yeah.
Like Captain America couldn't have won against Ultron on his own. You have to have all of them. The way they bring Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver in, and with Hawkeye doing his little pep talks in the trailers. You step out that door, you're an Avenger. That's the point. They're all it's the sum of the parts. They need to do it. And the film, again, is all about together. Separate, they're too flawed, they're too weak, they're not strong enough. And, it's a weird one. But, like I said, I don't really like many standalone hero movies. I find Iron Man works better because of Pepper Potts, because of the characters he's with. All those films, you don't generally see somebody who's a standalone just as man and a man or whatever. Even if a strong female lead will have someone else. That's quite normal. People need to stop bloody moaning. It's comic books. Enjoy them. Stop sending emails.
Yeah. You finished sticking your fingers up on a podcast now?
Yeah, well, that's for the people who deserve it.
Yeah.
They know I was doing it.
Right. Shall we get to the election then?
Yeah, general election week. Or as I originally wrote on the running order, general erection. And then thought, that's been made so many times, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So, we are 3 days away from... Where's the 8th?
Thursday.
Yeah.
Today's Tuesday. So we're like
2 days away.
36 hours away. Less than that.
It's quite exciting. So
27 hours
I've got all my
away.
voting stuff ready, but I'm genuinely not 100% sure who I'm voting for yet.
The problem we have in this area, and I know we're not the only ones, because people I talk about from the hockey community in obviously different areas of the country, same problem. You've either got a person, candidate you like, or you've got a party you like. And those two aren't necessarily the same thing.
No. So
do you want somebody you believe will represent you in a good way, but may not represent the party of your choice? So do you vote for them, or do you vote for the party?
And this is the issue. Like, locally, I'm fine. I've got that sorted. It's the MP seat. Because the MP for our area, or was, up until he became between Jobs Barclay, Steve Barclay, has done a lot of good things. But if I vote for him, I am giving the Conservatives another seat. And I don't want the Conservatives in power. I want Labour to win the election. But I don't want to vote for Ken Rustage. Or, rather, just keep it non-specific, I don't want to vote for my Labour MP candidate. And that's put me in a very tricky dilemma, because I don't have any power to say this is what my desire is. Like, and this is why I genuinely believe in elections it should be everyone votes, and then the Conservatives get a percentage of seats, and then as a party they decide who they want representing them.
Yeah.
So like a cabinet. But they'd say, okay, so Conservatives win 30% of the national vote. Okay. So government will be made up of 30% Conservatives.
Okay.
And then everyone gets someone on there to air their views. But it's not a person you're voting for. You are literally voting for what percentage of government should be reflective of what part of the country. So if you've got, like, locally, the last election, the Buckners got 8% of the local vote. Okay. But it was a majority.
Yeah.
Because 8% of a small percentage of a very low turnout. That's not reflective.
That's an issue I've had locally. Right? The leader of, or the former leader of the local district council basically got less than 1,000 votes.
Yeah.
But because he was a small constituency, the small turnout was enough to win, to get in his seat.
But this also happens nationally, where you'll get low turnout, and then you'll get probably 2,000, 5,000 people, whatever, voting for someone who ends up in Parliament. And then you've got 20,000 people whose votes don't count because they didn't vote for that guy. So they all wanted somebody else.
That's part of the problem that I don't know if we have it as much this time, because understandably UKIP have targeted this area quite a lot. And given the success they had with the county council elections, I understand why. Yeah. Because they think this is a seat they could take.
They shouldn't have put Blofeld in then.
Well,
with his fake university.
So, but anyway,
his university doesn't exist.
Not
the one on his website doesn't exist. Not a real thing.
But you know, this has largely been a Tory area.
Yeah.
And this is maybe part of the problem you have because, and I like you, I think Steve Barclay's... No, shut up. I think our local MP, Steve Barclay, has done a good job generally for this area. And I would be very happy to vote for him as a man.
Yeah.
I'd be very happy if he was the MP. But again, like you, I don't want to vote Tory.
Yeah.
But then, in this area, where should you go? You've either got Tory or UKIP.
And if you don't vote...
even regardless of what you think of the Labour candidate, if you just voted and said, I want Labour to win, candidate aside... I don't think there'd be enough people who'd vote Labour in this area, or Lib Dem, or Green, or whatever. So then you come to this point where people go, well, I want Labour to win. I can only see Tories or UKIP winning this area, so my vote's basically for naught.
Yeah.
I'll stay at home and watch football.
And it's weird. I mean, like this week we've seen Russell Brand endorse Labour. We've seen
Which
Eddie
is no
Izzard,
great surprise.
Eddie Izzard dressed up as a 50-year-old housewife in Scotland, inciting violence, accidentally inciting violence. Delia Smith eating cake with Ed Balls. All these things that are basically said, you know what? The Labour Party is getting some support from people who are quite surprising. Like Russell Brand to support the Labour Party.
Is that surprising after everything that's gone on with Russell Brand over the last 12 months?
But this is the thing, like his journey was, don't vote. That was his original thing. No vote.
Oh, that was just ridiculous.
Better if we don't vote. Then it was like, none of these parties can do it. But actually, I think what's happened is Russell Brand's actually learnt a lot. Like, because he's going out and talking to people, and he's talking to people in food banks, and he's talking to all that, I think he's starting to get a better picture than most voters would get. Because all we see is through the media or through propaganda leaflets. And that's a strong term, but that is what they are.
Of course they are, yeah.
So, like, what do we know about the parties? Well, if you watch one programme, UKIP are a bunch of buffoons who couldn't possibly run the country. I listened to an interview of a UKIP candidate the other day, and after it, I would have voted for him. He was very verbose, he was erudite, he was a local man who lived and he'd seen MP after MP after MP get into office, do nothing for the local people and then disappear. And he was driven into politics, but no party would have him. And then UKIP took him on, so he then did a load of training. He went and lived in Europe for 6 months to learn about the European Parliament, how it works, and whether he would want to be part of that or not. And I just thought, that's a side of UKIP I haven't seen. Like, there must be some more to it than get the folders out. But then, locally, that is what they're hinging on. It's bizarre. Like, the stuff you hear from them is British jobs for British people. But at the same time, you've got candidates who are like, well, actually, that's not entirely sustainable. We need to make sure it's a bit more careful. If they were all talking like that, that would be a genuinely kind of successful campaign. The problem is, obviously, the reputation they had, but that reputation was mostly bolstered by the media. Because they were going, oh yeah, that guy's a racist. This guy was once in a photo where he was holding up a flag and talking about this.
But there's also that part of me that thinks if you gave even the Green Party the same column inches that UKIP have been afforded by the media, the Greens would have a lot more support.
But because also,
despite some faults here and there, because all the parties have faults. Let's not dress this up as some we're bashing one party.
No. We're not. And I would say, if you put the Green Party in the papers with as much intensity as what UKIP had, you would also find people in the Green Party who have massive, great big 4x4s that burn loads of fuel.
Exactly.
A friend of mine saw a Green Party campaign bus earlier. It was burning diesel with black smoke coming out the back of it, and he went, "That seemed hilarious. I wish I'd had a camera with me." And the point is, there are good candidates and bad candidates from all sides. But now I'm in a total quandary because I don't want Ed Miliband as a leader, but I want Labour as a government because I genuinely think they've got a better. They want. I think they understand better the situation the country's in, and they want to concentrate on the people first. What really worried me with Conservatives was their kind of hidden benefits cuts that they've decided. Liberal Democrats leaked a memo that was basically a discussion of what we're going to do. Then Conservatives went, "We haven't told you what we're going to do yet." But well, why haven't you told us what you're going to do yet?
Has any political notion died as quickly as we're all in this together?
Well, I don't know. It's just ridiculous, isn't it? Absolutely ridiculous. I did read one interview, which was Nick Clegg broken all of his promises over the last 5 years. I was like, well, the biggest one was tuition fees. And to be honest, the Conservatives were never in favour of that in the first place.
No.
As much as I was annoyed that was the big thing that I wanted Liberal Democrats to vote in, that was on me getting Liberal Democrats as Parliament. What I got was a coalition. And I have to understand that as a coalition, you're not going to get everything you were promised.
No.
But to sit there and say Nick Clegg has broken every promise he ever made, generally what he's done is he's lost his tie and he's now just looking confused. That's not evil. That's just doddery old uncle who needs to sausage roll. But yeah, I don't know. I want to vote Labour because I want to make a difference, but it won't make a difference around here because it'll either be Conservative or UKIP. I don't want UKIP's guy in because he looks like a Bond villain, so then I have to vote Conservative even though I don't want to vote Conservative. I'm part of my own problem.
Yeah.
Stupid country needs a new system. That's the problem there.
There we go.
I'm angry. I'm angry this week. I'm also angry about App Store ratings. Did I talk about this before?
No, only off the air.
There is no App Store trade body
to
rate games.
Right.
So this all came about because my girlfriend's daughter saw some footage from Five Nights at Freddy's.
Okay.
And it was a jump scare scene, and it frightened her and it gave her a nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, that then transpired to me saying, well, on your tablet, she's got like a Google Play tablet account, Google Play account as a store. And I said, you can restrict that down to what sort of maturity of apps there are. Okay. I said, I'll set it to low maturity. You won't get any of those like adult-oriented games. But I said, I'll set it to about 12. That'll be fine. I said, you'll get like then some good apps. You won't get the horror ones. Well, no, they still sat in that area. Five Nights at Freddy's still works as a 12 rating.
Right.
So I had to set it onto the lowest possible maturity, which the front page was things like Teletubbies and Tweenies and a clown in a ball and stuff like that. But as you scroll down, if you were to Google the word or search the word Freddy's, you would still find Five Nights at Freddy's clones in the absolutely no maturity category whatsoever.
Right.
Because they'll be not the game, but they'll have the same images, they'll have the same noises.
Yep.
It'll just be some cheap knockoff full of adverts to generate some revenue. And so I emailed the Google Play support people and I was like, can I block individual apps or keywords?
Yep.
Like, can I get rid of that? No. So I was asking about how their system works. Now, basically, and this is the same across Google Play and App Stores and iOS and everything, the ratings are generated at submission.
Okay.
So basically you have like a tick box thing.
Yep.
So it'll say, does your game have crude suggestive themes? Tick yes, if it has. And as long as you tick more and more, it will push the rating up and up. Now, of course, if you're developing an app, you want it lower rating.
Of course, yep. Makes sense.
You can basically go through. Now, what I've found in my research, and this is turning to quite a research project I'm doing, this is going to become a massive article that I'm really going to be proud of when I'm 48. Basically, you can skew the results by making sure the violence is of a certain kind. So, sexual violence will get you banned.
Yep.
But if you just tag it as violence and sexual content, that's fine.
Right, okay.
That'll get you a 17. Because there isn't an 18.
Okay.
So Grand Theft Auto is a 17.
Okay.
So PEGI rating in the UK for Grand Theft Auto on all consoles and home computers is 18.
Apart from...
But App Stores, there isn't an 18 rating. So you can be 17 and still play all the same content as what PEGI have deemed unnecessarily. Yeah. It's absolutely bizarre. Like there's content, as long as it doesn't tick these boxes, it doesn't get a high rating, which is why Five Nights at Freddy's doesn't get a high rating. Because there isn't a lot of blood. So that brings your rating down. There's no swearing, brings your rating down. It's just absolutely bizarre. And then what you've got is you've got a really flawed rating system on a device where the user is having no age check.
Yeah.
There's no shopkeeper saying, should you have that? This is, it's entirely parent-based. Obviously, you should lock your devices down immediately. But let's not kid ourselves. If she's finding things that frighten her on the low maturity setting, there's something wrong with that submission thing. Now, I went through and I flagged the things as inappropriate. Because I thought on that rating system, to have games that are reviewed as people go, oh, this really scared me, that shouldn't be in the everybody.
Yeah.
Like the very low maturity rating. You couldn't even get Crossy Road on this maturity.
Right.
Because that had people getting run over.
Yeah.
So we're talking about that's not acceptable.
Right. But
suddenly you can have Five Nights at Freddy's images and sound. And so I've emailed again to the people at the Google Play Store, and I've also emailed the submissions team at iTunes and basically said, is there any plans to change or shape up the way it goes? And I've had one email back, And I can't remember which one it's from, but it's basically that they want everything to be community driven.
Right.
So like we talked about with the Xbox Live indie games, where the quality and the reviews are basically done like me, they said that this is how it works. So if enough people rate an app as inappropriate, it will get bumped up or kicked off or told to resubmit or whatever. But that's kind of like saying, well, if your kid finds a game with porn in it, it's not really our fault. You should have flagged it up sooner.
Right, yeah.
Because what they're saying is, if I made a game that on the surface was all fluffy, like Billy's Big Bear Adventure, and it was a big bright thing and it had a thing, and then 5 minutes into the game it was just hardcore porn, I could put that on low maturity because I could just lie and say none of those things were in it, and then it would be flagged as inappropriate, but by that point I've made my revenue.
Yeah.
Because people would have talked about that game with the porn in it, and then my ad revenue would be huge. And that's wrong. Very, very wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm not on this like crusade of, oh God, would someone think of the children? But I'm genuinely surprised that one of the biggest digital marketplaces for games has got the lack like security and control, because it's almost based on the grounds of, well, you gave your device to that child, that's your fault.
Yeah.
Well, I gave my child an Xbox. It's capable of playing 8 to 8 games. Yes, I can put a filter on it to stop that from happening, but primarily, I would like to just not buy my child an 18 rated game. And I would like it if, when I go to a shop, and most shops don't do it, you don't suddenly have loads of really violent graphic image. Normally, an adult rated game will get a thing. I mean, you look at the case for GTA, it's not a sadistic, violent case. No. Bright colours, it shows people with guns, but that's about it, really. Even the back it's helicopters and cars and someone firing a weapon. And yet, you get these apps, and the first image you see is something from the game. Like, the marketplace is saying, here's this thing, here's that thing. I find it absolutely mind-melting. We went through the Byron review, which led to the PEGI rating being law for the UK. The apps are rated by PEGI, sometimes, but that PEGI rating isn't mandatory for the actual App Store rating. Yeah. They can put it on there as like an intro thing, but as a general rule, even Mortal Kombat, I dare say, probably a 17 on the app, but an 18 on the console, even though it's the same content, because the app won't allow it to go through. It is ridiculous, and it's made me cross, and I'm going to keep digging and see what I find. But so that'll become a regular, recurring feature on that one. But for now, it just seems a futile attempt at trying to make change, much like the general election. Oy. So yeah, that was a good show, Rob.
It was.
I've enjoyed that one.
Good.
We talked about a lot of things that weren't games.
We did.
And then talked about games right at the very end.
Yes.
So anyone who listened feels like they've got a good game sandwich where the bread is the best part. Yeah. Like a good wholemeal onion bread. Ooh. Yeah. Didn't think I'd like onion bread. I really like onion bread.
Oh, good.
Don't like onions.
No?
No, I like onion bread. Have you seen the advert for Warburton's with Sylvester Stallone?
Yeah, I'm sick of these fucking celebrities.
We were talking about this the other day. I said the only way I would like that advert is if he did it for free because he thought it was funny. I would quite like that. Like,
did he do it for free because he thought it was funny?
I've no idea. But wouldn't that be brilliant if he basically just somebody went, we've got an idea, would you like to do this advert? And he'll go, yeah, all right. What's your fee? Well, that's all right, it'll take a couple of days. It'll be brilliant.
See, if the fee, I'd probably be more tolerant if I thought they did it for free or the fee went to charity. Yeah. It's never going to happen like that.
No. Arnold Schwarzenegger talking to a meerkat, Sylvester Stallone delivering bread. I said to a guy today, if Warburton spent as much money on their bread as they spent on their marketing, they probably wouldn't need as that good a marketing because their bread would be nice.
I can't remember who it was. I know it was Adam Proto, who writes for the Hockey News, made some comment about if the wolf from Pulp Fiction was available for hire, the amount of sports teams that would hire him to make problems disappear. I think somebody had been arrested. And I'd reply going, unfortunately, he's too busy whoring out car insurance in the UK. It's just all these ridiculous. We had Johnny Rotten selling butter, for fuck's sake. It's just ridiculous. It pisses me off. And yeah, that Warburton's one pushed me over the edge again.
That is ridiculously silly.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at there's actually some packs, some mint press packs on Star Wars.
Is there?
Trailer, yeah. You get a 7-card pack for 10,000 credits. Oh. And there's 8,485 packs left at this moment in time. Mm. But I can't afford it because I spent him all now on Obi-Wan Kenobi packs earlier.
I can afford it, and I've just bought one.
Buy one. Have you got a mint thing? This is very exciting podcasting.
It is. No,
You got a
that
blue one, but you didn't get
Hang
an
on,
insert.
I've got enough to buy more.
It's a good job I checked my notifications while we're doing
It
a
popped
podcast.
It popped up on mine just as you said it. Oh, got a red Qui-Gon. Oh, no, and that one. I've got enough for one more.
Oh, this is exciting. No.
Boba Fett blue. I love Boba Fett blue.
Like a bit of blue.
Joel Edgerton. Kit Fister. I like Kit Fister. He died in a shit way. No,
Yeah.
I don't think I've got a blue Han Solo.
No, so you didn't get one.
Well.
But at least you had the opportunity to try.
Yep, I did.
So yeah, you had a...
And I picked up a couple of coloured ones in there as well. So
Yeah, well there you go. That's it. So we talked about that at the beginning, and now we come through. You've actually seen how exciting opening live packets of cards is. Like,
I'm up to 11%.
Got, need, didn't get what I wanted.
So yeah, there'll be some trades thrown out when I get up.
So yeah, so do look into that. And any of the other games, if you want to discuss any of it with us, either message us at We Are the Lola, I've done it again. We Are the Lolacourse, to a letter R on Twitter, or at Bounceable with an H second B for me.
At Rob McGregor 35 for me.
Or you can email us at WeAreTheLolacourse. That's the complete R there, because Gmail are lovely. WeAreTheLolacourse@gmail.com. And we have had some nice emails already. Marvel competition, or Qwertee competition rather, in our Marvel episode. Go back, listen to the episode, and find out that Cresta Lemonade was the lemonade that nearly killed me.
Yep.
If you're stupid enough to now go back and try and work out from the episode that it was Cresta Lemonade, when I've just told you it's Cresta Lemonade, then that's good. We'd like it, because we like it when people listen to them. But yeah, Cresta Lemonade was the answer. So email the word Cresta Lemonade to weirdlolacost@gmail.com and you could be in the draw to win a T-shirt.
Yep. Entries need to be in by 7 o'clock next Tuesday,
yes,
12th.
Because basically that's where we went wrong with Paul Whittitt. We didn't allow long enough for the email to arrive before we started recording.
It's got to be with us by 7 p.m. on the 12th. That's
his name's not Paul Whittitt. His name's Whittitt or Paul. I can't just make up a new surname for him. Whittingham, I think, is his surname. Don't stalk him. Christ, oh no, gone wrong again. Actually, no, do stalk him. His wife will kill you. She is a machine. She's a lovely, lovely lady, but Christ Almighty, I've never been more frightened of someone.
Got Karen the robot wife from SpongeBob.
Pretty much. I tell you what, if the closest thing I can put it to is if you imagine Jet from Gladiators, wasn't now a psychotherapist,
right?
But instead kept on doing what Jet from Gladiators did, but got taller and harder.
Right.
That's what Whittick's wife's like.
Yeah.
But she's lovely. But she would crush you.
Okay.
She'd crush all of us.
Right.
I don't ever worry about a robot invasion because she'd sort it out.
Yeah.
So messages on those, reviewers on iTunes or Stitcher, share it around. We've got the new album art going out now, although now I've been told by iTunes it's not quite big enough to be featured. It's alright for artwork, but it needs to be bigger if we ever want to be featured.
Right.
So I've got to now resubmit that. And the audio quality will improve hopefully at the end of the month, although I've now made myself out of a job. I am planning on getting the mixing desk sorted out and sorted out as well. So hopefully audio quality will improve massively throughout June onwards. You can help us with that by using our Amazon affiliate link, which is on the website. It basically doesn't charge you anything, gives a small percentage back on anything you buy, which would be lovely and helpful, as it would make our voices sound more like velvety chocolates and less like the chocolate you get in advent calendars that's not a Cadbury's one. Like Kinnerton chocolate, Thomas Tank Engine on, where it's just like barely chocolate, brown liquid that's set in a mould.
True. So Holocaust.co.uk, and there's links at the top. I think it's just affiliate links from the main drop down menu.
And we will try and sort out at some point a nice, easy to use link, so you can just basically what we suggest is you open that link and then you bookmark that link as your Amazon link, and then you won't need to worry about it anymore. You can just literally click Amazon and it will automatically do it all for you. And like I said, that will help us out with no extra cost to you. Once we've got the new recording equipment, the aim is to then use it to supplement any trips or research things. We've been invited to Cambridge to meet the people who make the sorcery apps, and I've been invited down to Brighton for a conference down there as well, which doesn't look like I'm going to be able to make it. But obviously next year we'll be in a position where hopefully we'll have some money available in the pot that we can use to create better content as well. And like I said, if I've got a better job, then I'll be able to pay it myself, and we'll use the money to buy prizes to give back to people at Christmas. Whichever way it goes. We don't know. So thanks for listening. We will see you next week for episode 19. No, 19. The average age of the soldier that went to Vietnam, 19.
Paul Hardcastle told me that.
Yeah, I believe that's maybe where I heard it as well. But there we go. So see you later, everybody.
Bye.